the business that we are in, I feel this will become a $1 billion business. That is what excites me.
The result of a failed entrepreneurial debut, Jumboking has reinvented Mumbai city's favorite food.
It's the brainchild of Dheeraj Gupta.
Jumboking is going to be known even 10 years later as the king of Vada Pav.
Jumboking, a name as popular as the Vada Pav itself.
Was set up 5 years ago on a loan of $2,000.
In 2 years, I was down 55 lakhs. And I don't
55
know
lakhs?
how, yes.
55 lakhs in 1998.
I would have quit at least 10 times in the last 22 years.
Every entrepreneur that I've spoken to, they failed once and then they succeeded. And your story begins with a mithai shop.
I had read this report that the entire mithai industry is a 10,000 crore business lying completely unbranded. Jumboking was started only on 2 lakh rupees in investment. We introduced something called samosa pav in Mumbai city. तभी ऐसा कुछ था ही नहीं.
So you introduced samosa pav.
Yes.
If a franchise owner is going for a particular franchise, what are the red flags that he or she must spot in order to avoid taking the franchise from a particular bad player?
This is a myth in the food business.
What is that myth, sir? Hi everybody, this episode has required an extensive production setup and we are excited to bring this to you all thanks to the generous support from Odoo. People, if you are running a restaurant, we know that running a restaurant is no easy task. An inefficient management system can result in long wait times, order mix-up, inventory headaches and ultimately dissatisfied customers. But what if there was a solution to streamline all these challenges? If you operate a restaurant, cafe or any food service business, you should definitely explore Odoo's point of sale application. With Odoo's point of sale system, you can organize your floors and tables to match your layout with flexibility to switch tables for clients. It simplifies order taking, allows you to print bills in advance, manage discounts and coupons, and even helps you collect tips. Plus, you can manage and customize your menu effortlessly. You can also keep track of inventory and seamlessly integrate orders from Zomato and Swiggy. Odoo helps you manage everything efficiently. So elevate your business with Odoo's point of sale system where efficiency meets growth. And the best part is, Odoo offers lifetime free access to your first application with complete unlimited hosting and support. So if you find this useful, check out the link in the description and download Odoo now. Good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning, Ganesh.
Welcome to the Indian Business Podcast, sir. And the moment you came in, you told me that you watched a lot of thinkschool videos.
Yes.
My question is, sir, why?
I love the research you all do. Okay. I love the passion with which you present it. Okay. And I'm not saying this because I'm here, because I watch a lot of podcasts. That's why when I was told that I have to come here, I'm like, boss, I'm game. I'm happy to do this.
Okay. So what kind of videos do you watch? Do you watch political videos or do you watch business videos?
It is largely political because the perspectives that are shared. I like the research part. So, you're not just coming and saying why are you saying it? And of course, it also gives me a chance to introspect and think whether I agree with you or not. Right? So, but there's a lot of fresh perspective which is coming out, which angles which I may have missed because my information is unidirectional, right? कि paper में read किया या फिर कहीं पर देख लिया. So, yeah.
Very interesting. So today I am going to do to this podcast what I do to a case study. Okay. Where I'm going to ask you a lot of questions and I've got 30 odd questions with me. And I want to basically decode Jumboking to an extent where if there is another person who wants to build a company very similar to Jumboking, he or she must be able to get a step-by-step guidance on how to do so. Number two, they must be able to understand what are the mistakes that they are supposed to avoid. And number three, if there is a person who's about to go and open a franchise, not just for Jumboking but for any other brand, that person must be able to get a blueprint on how to approach this situation. Okay? And I want to start with your failure because every entrepreneur that I've spoken to, they failed once and then they succeeded.
Right.
And your story begins with a mithai shop.
Right.
What is that story, sir?
Wow. Okay. So, grandfather, he came from a village which is about 10 kilometers from Faridabad, a small gaon called Tigaon. And then he came to Mumbai when he was 10 years old and he got employed at one of these railway platforms that you see, where he had to do the cleaning job and then sleep in the night on the platform and then wake up in the morning, do the cleaning and start off. That's how he started his life. And then I think after some time, it was a Parsi gentleman who used to run that store and he decided that he wants to give it up. So he told my grandfather that, would you like to take up the contract? He said, of course I would.
Contract of?
Of running that railway stall. So at Bombay stations, you have all these 90 square feet stalls, the small ones. And that's how my grandfather actually started his entrepreneurial journey. And then he was very good. And he took up one stall, then took up a second one, and a third one. And I think franchising somewhere started there because he would call people from the village, all his family members, and say, "Tu bhi aaja, ye stall tu chala, tu bhi aaja, ye stall tu chala." And I think that's how he kind of really grew.
So railway retail business.
Yes.
Wow. And that is how he became rich.
Yeah, so that's how this was good money. And then he also investors said Malad, na, tabhi at that time it used to be like, matlab, there were no roads and all. Log belgadiyan chalti thi. This I'm talking of way back in 1947, right? And that's when he invested into some properties, as in which were adjacent to the railway stations. Right? And he also then got into some construction and took up some partnerships, small percentages on with some of the builders who were doing construction on this side of town. So at that time, gaadiyan nahi aa sakti thi. So they had people, they would require a local person who is coordinating the construction work. I think he worked very, very hard, and simple people, simple background. My grandmother was a very prudent financial person. So
Oh, back then also?
yeah, back then also. She was the one who had the control on the home finances.
Was that because of her education?
They were not very educated at all.
Okay.
Yes. It was just, Marwadi Banya, you have a certain sense of that money should be respected. It is hard-earned money. And it was simple lives, and then they collected. And I think we benefited a lot from all the good work that they did.
Very interesting, sir. Sir, I understood that you had the burden of your family's success, and that is how you started with your mithai store. Tell me something about how you started with the mithai store. Okay. Because you had a fairly educative background, right? Correct. How did you go from, you are a what? You are an engineer and an MBA, right?
No, I've done my 3 years of hotel management from IHM Bombay, Dadar Catering College, and then an MBA in finance from Symbiosis Pune.
So from MBA in finance to starting a mithai store, why?
So in our family, we have this mithai business outside Malad railway station. It's called Delhi Sweet House.
Delhi Sweet House.
Delhi Sweet House, yeah. So I did my hotel management because I did not want to, numbers अच्छे आते थे. पढ़ाई में we were reasonably good. So marks अच्छे आते थे. At that time it was like, if your marks are good, you have to do engineering. Okay. And I'm like, I don't want to do engineering. And you have to, it was like, how can you do commerce? इतने अच्छे number आए हैं. This used to be a strange dilemma. I'm talking of 1992. And there were no other career options. So I said, मुझे hotel management करना है. And people said, मतलब तू बावर्ची बनेगा. I said, मैं hotel management करूँगा because our family is in the food business, and I think engineering and medicine is out. Commerce and arts might not be really, might not add as much value. So I will do hotel management, and that's how that 3-year thing. So I think the choices had always for me been a little unconventional, not caring too much about दुनिया क्या बोलेगी, लोग क्या बोलेंगे kind of stuff. And so it was more of elimination, that this makes the most amount of sense today, let's do this, फिर आगे देखेंगे क्या होता है. Okay. And then the MBA, then I worked for 2 years in my brother's firm. He used to run an garment export firm at that time. I needed some work ex because my dream college was SP Jain. Okay. And at Andheri, and they required a 1-year work ex. And I said, मुझे सिर्फ ये college में जाना है. And they need a 1-year work ex, so I'm going to take a year off and I'm going to work. And in fact, for my MBA, I applied only for that college, and I did not get admission over there. Then I had to scramble a few. I did not appear for the, the common entrance test. And for Symbiosis, they had SCM HRD karke one course, which was like their diploma course. So that's where I got admission, and I went to do my MBA in finance over there. And in my MBA, I did not sit for campus placements. I was very sure मुझे business शुरू करना है. And my motivation, I used to tell my dad in a joking way that I don't want people to say ये सुभाष गुप्ता का लड़का है. Someday I want them to say, अच्छा आप धीरज के father हो. It was just a sweet banter we used to have among, and I'm sure that he was proud when I was speaking this language. This was when I was just in college. So I had read this report that the entire mithai industry is a 10,000 crore business lying completely unbranded.
Unbranded, okay.
Yes. We used to have library lectures at that time, and I got interested in learning and reading autobiographies. This was all in our MBA school. I wanted to understand कि brands create कैसे होते हैं. How do people start? Like how did Ray Kroc build McDonald's? How did Howard Schultz build Starbucks? How did Sam Walton build Walmart? How did Fred DeLuca build Subway? These are all very, very large brands which have scaled globally. So were they born in the right country? Did they have access to, capital? Were the country where they were living, people were richer? कुछ अलग था क्या उनके पास, which probably is not there in India, because I was not seeing too many local brands around at that time. And so having read all of those autobiographies, I got to know that सबकी story same थी. All of them had no one believing them. People said that they were crazy with what they were starting. And it was really, really tough when they started off. I wanted to know कि ये 1 से 10 स्टोर की जर्नी ना वो किस तरह से होती है. And in reading all of that, and then we had that mithai business in the family. So I said that, okay, so let us create a business around mithai.
A mithai empire.
Mithai brand and chocolates के साथ compete करते हैं. Why should we buy chocolates? Why can't I go to a shop and say, hey, give me one kaju katli? That was, my fantasy at that time. And that's how the mithai business started. And of course, then as I got into it, that was my real MBA, because I made a lot of crazy mistakes. And मेरा पूरे साल का मैंने बड़े मुश्किल से 10 लाख का एड बजट बनाया था. And my ad agency told me, sir, 5 लाख की हम ad film बनाते हैं.
Ad film?
Ad film बनाते हैं. I said that 10 लाख का बजट है. I had zero idea. Sir, हाँ सर, फिल्म बनाते दिखाएंगे हम फिर लोगों को.
Branding के लिए?
Branding के लिए. Then during the shoot he says, sir, मुझे एक और आइडिया आया है, सेम सेट में ना हम एक और ad बना सकते हैं, 3 लाख और लगेगा, बट हमें 2 फिल्म मिल जाएंगी 8 लाख में. So I said, अच्छा ठीक है कर लो. I was so naive. Then, I had 2 films. And we were sitting and I said, चलो अभी इसको दिखाते हैं. And he said, yes sir, तो whatever budget he came up with. I said, नहीं हमारी बात हो चुकी थी. पूरे साल का बजट 10 लाख का है, आपने 8 लाख खर्च करवा दिए हैं. अभी 2 लाख ही बचा है. So, it was a stupid mistake to make. That guy saying, but sir, ये सब तो आपको मालूम होना चाहिए. I said, boss, I had told you 10 lakhs is the ad budget. You made me spend all of it. But they just raised their hands and walked out of the room. And I was sitting with 2 films and no money to show the film to. So these are all crazy things. I think I was super undercapitalized. Okay. And second big thing that I realized is, even when in my family, I would tell people that this is a mithai which is 1 month old, a kaju katli, people would run away from it, right? They're like, boss, we are used to eating fresh mithai. Who the hell eats mithai which is 1 month old?
Okay. So why were you selling 1 month old kaju katlis?
I wanted to create a national distribution. So I had to get shelf life into the product. All the mithai which is sold is made fresh, made in the morning, sold in the night.
So you turned it into packed foods?
I wanted to increase the shelf life. So I went to CFTRI, DRDO. These are all the organizations which are doing research around increasing food, the shelf life of food for our army people. People fighting at the Siachen Glacier. They had to give them food in packs which they could use as rations for the full month. And so that I met a lot of people. They said that, sir, chocolate by nature, you can have shelf life in this. In the Indian mithai, it is made out of mawa or khoya. So उसमें आपको shelf life नहीं मिलने वाली है. And the packaging material was also not available in India. This was 1998. Your big bazaars, etc., had not started. Modern retail was not available. And so it was quite depressing, because I think at the age I started this business venture at the age of 24, 25. I told my dad that 15 lakhs का बैंक लोन ले रहा हूँ, आप उसका खाली गारंटी दे दो.
15 lakhs?
15 lakhs. Because MBA किया था ना, फाइनेंस में
प्रोजेक्ट
रिपोर्ट बनाया था.
एड फिल्म में चले गए.
So it was a lot of crazy mistakes. And I told him that I don't want money from you, and this is going to be a bank loan, and I'm going to, I have a full project report about how this is going to be very profitable.
Business plan?
हाँ, business plan पूरा था. MBA किया था ना finance में, तो फिर सारा, we knew all those kind of things. And anyway, so it did not, in 2 years, I was down 55 lakhs. And
55
I don't know
lakhs?
how, yes. There were loans taken from the family, from my brother, from my father. And I don't know how it happened.
Wow.
Because once you get into it, it's like, ये साल निकाल लेते हैं.
55 lakhs in 1998?
Yes.
Oh my God.
1990. By the time I finished, it was 98, 99. Interest and all of those kind of things. And then I made a project report. And I'm like, well, this is not going to work. because to make this work, I'll have to invest a lot of money because I have to do concept selling. Ke mithai can be sold when it is in the packaged form.
So you first started with packed mithai
Yes.
to create a brand out of it.
It was called Shagun Sweets.
Shagun Sweets. Actually a very nice name, sir.
Yes, nice name. Someone can use it today also.
Yeah, it's actually a very nice name.
Yeah.
So you started with packed mithai business so that you can scale it across the nation.
Yes, I wanted to build a brand.
Okay.
Now, like all these guys, McDonald's वगैरह कर रहे हैं, India में brand बनाना है.
एंड अगर आपको ब्रांड बना के इसको डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करना है तो शेल्फ लाइफ की जरूरत है. शेल्फ लाइफ के लिए यू वेंट टू दीज रिसर्च सेंटर्स टू फिगर आउट व्हाट एग्जैक्टली दे वर डूइंग इन ऑर्डर टू increase the shelf life of the sweets. So did you increase the shelf life of the sweets?
We got up to 1.5 months, and we could have done more. However, the product was becoming too expensive. The packaging material we had to use, we had to import from Malaysia. So that was increasing the cost of the product when we would go to market.
But now packed sweets are sold, right?
Not really. It is still a great opportunity. They're not really sold. Very few things like सोन पापड़ी हल्दीराम की आपको मिल जाएगी. Those few things are there, but not the entire gamut of rasmalai and all of those. And rasgulla, gulab jamun वगैरह मिलता है in those cans of 10 and 20. I always used to think, यार what if I am a nuclear family या मैं bachelor हूँ and मुझे सिर्फ 2 की पैकिंग चाहिए and मैं I'm going to go to a modern retail and pick up a pack of 24 which would have 2 units and I would use it for the entire month. After dinner, I'm going to open that pack, have my 2 rasgullas and throw it. The others are in the fridge. That was what I was trying to get to, but wo nahi hua.
So that's actually very interesting because I still remember whenever you used to get that tin, once opened, you had to finish it.
Yes, and it would be 10 units at least.
And back then it was great for me because I could finish all of it.
Wow, okay.
But today I feel like it's such a big pain
Yes.
that you buy such an expensive pack of sweets.
Correct.
You cannot consume it not because of wastage of money, but because you don't want to consume so much calories. Number 2, you don't want to waste it.
Correct.
But still it's going to stay open. So eventually you end up
The
wasting
shelf life
it.
it will खराब हो जाएगा.
So it's a lose-lose. You either end up consuming a lot or you end up wasting a lot.
And the
Both are
second
terrible.
insight at that time was that it would be very embarrassing to go to the sweet shop and say, भैया 2 रसगुल्ला देना. He'll give you a dirty stare. I said, कि कहाँ से आ गया? Why is he wasting my time? So you, अब शर्म के मारे you have to say कि भाई 6 पीस दे दो.
True. मेरे साथ हुआ है सर ऐसा. मैंने जाके 100 grams मांगा था. So बोला 100 grams हम नहीं देंगे आपको. 1 पाव चाहिए तो लेके जाओ. तो 1 पाव was beyond my budget, so I said, okay, let it be. I'll rather
So
go
this
and
was
buy
the problem we were trying to solve at that time.
Very interesting. So basically, just like Kavin Care built sachets out of big bottles, you kind of wanted to build, let's say, micro-packaged sweets, which could last longer. Very interesting. So it became expensive.
I ran out of money.
Does this also give you an important learning that the right time to start a business is not when you find the right proposition, but when the world is ready for that right proposition?
Maybe in hindsight, because when we started Jumboking, I don't think the world was ready for it.
Oh, okay.
Either, right? Because it was again a new thing. So I think entrepreneurship is about this. You'll try out a lot of things, right? What is most important is you keep at it.
Because, sir, I watched a TED talk which spoke about the timing of these startups as to why do most businesses fail. And the number one reason why most businesses failed was timing. It was not teams, not the tech, not the market, nothing. The biggest factor was timing. I'll give you an example. Let's take Airbnb. Before Airbnb, there were a lot of these similar companies that were trying to do the exact same thing as Airbnb. But Airbnb succeeded and the rest of them did not. Why? Because Airbnb started in 2008, when 2008 recession was at its peak. In fact, they started just before the 2008 recession. Then recession hit. As a result, people had a lot of homes. All of those homes had EMIs. Plus, they were in dire need of money because they did not have jobs. So, let's say 20, 25 years back, if you had asked an American to let somebody in their house, they would call you crazy. Because you have all kinds of people in the US with people who consume drugs, people with guns, and a lot of other problems. So even today, I think people will still be skeptical to let somebody into their house. But that 2008 recession caused such a big pain in the lives of the people that pain pushed them to have people in their homes so that they could have some income. As a result, Airbnb became successful. Similarly, when it comes to YouTube also, before YouTube, there was a website called x.com.
Okay, X.com.
Yeah, exactly the same thing as YouTube, but then that company failed, but YouTube succeeded. Why? Because back then, before 2005, the bandwidth in the US was not so much that you could play a video effortlessly. But YouTube happened, then video streaming became very easy because I think because of Adobe Flash, and then YouTube became a success. So this also tells us that timing is such a critical thing that it really doesn't matter how amazing your proposition is. If the world is not ready for your proposition, you are bound to fail.
So for any entrepreneur who is, kind of wanting to start, this can be a very depressing thought. Because what happens, it takes the power away. You're saying that, timing is important, which means my entrepreneurial zeal is not that important. So I'm going to disagree with you on this, Ganesh. And I'm going to say that you as an entrepreneur, you don't care about these things. Because they often say that, when the tough going gets tough, the tough get going. As an entrepreneur, you actually are always working against all of these odds and many more. In hindsight, we can say this is what went wrong, this is what went right for certain companies. I think out of 10 businesses, the 10 which fail, all of them actually they run out of money. All of them, if they had pursued it and gone on for some more time, it would have seen success. Maybe market change ho jata, technology change ho jati, they would have learned so many things. Otherwise, all of these companies, Infosys le lijiye, right? I have heard that Narayan Murthy had to literally beg people to subscribe for their IPO. Unhone, he was not being able to get the right amount of subscription, right? So if he had given up, thinking कि timing सही नहीं है.
Sir, ये बहुत interesting चीज आपने बोल दी, which is if you do too much research, you will be in this analysis paralysis.
Yes.
And you will never think that the time is right. Actually, sir, because
You'll figure out a way. As an entrepreneur, you'll figure out a way. That is what the whole thing. That is why this is such a rare breed, right? Entrepreneurs, and that is where the maja lies.
they're illogical by definition.
Yes, you're illogical by definition. You're challenging the norm always. You're doing what everybody else has not done. That's your highest chance of success, right? If you're doing what everyone else is doing, you're going to be an also ran. So I think timing. So these become excuses, right? Timing sahi nahi thi, or I think as an entrepreneur, when you join the dots in hindsight, it looks like कि हाँ शायद इसकी timing सही थी, या तब तक market सही हो गया था, या technology सही आ गई थी.
Sir, ये जो आपने मुझे बोला ना, this resonates with me very well. Because now if I look back to 2019, thinkschool did not make any sense at all. Okay, I had no credibility, no MBA, civil engineer who barely passed exams. And then I said, I will go and put out case studies and I will make my case study catalog so good that it will be better than HBR.
Wow.
Okay.
HBR. Super.
That was the benchmark. Sir, a month back, you won't believe me if I tell you this, that a business professor told me that he is using our case studies instead of HBR because A, HBR is outdated, B, HBR doesn't understand the Indian market as well as our case studies do, and C, they are extremely boring because it's just a piece of paper. So they would rather play a thinkschool video on the slideshow rather than referring to a HBR article. And when I told my friend about HBR and making videos better than HBR, he said, what is your right to win?
Right.
And I had no answer back then.
Okay.
But now it all makes sense to me because I understand that if I knew that I had no right to win, I would never have started. Which also gives you an important lesson that as an entrepreneur, by definition, you're illogical, remain illogical. Yes. Faith is perhaps the most powerful force out there, right? In fact, sir, yesterday we were doing a case study on quick commerce also. And this is exactly what you just said right now. Quick commerce 2 years back did not make any sense at all. Even to me, it did not make any sense. And I did all the analysis possible and I understood that the average order value of quick commerce back then, it was 350 to 400 rupees. And when we did the math, for 2 months, I had all the numbers written on my whiteboard because I just couldn't make sense out of the numbers that were there in front of me. So after 2 months of brainstorming, we came out with a figure that if the quick commerce average order value crosses 550 rupees, it will become a gold mine.
Right.
Sir, Blinkit now has crossed 550 rupees. Wow. It stands at 635 rupees. And now Dipinder Goyal says that Blinkit could be bigger than Zomato.
Wow. Okay.
And 2 years back, the world was not ready for quick commerce. Now the world is so habitual that the India 1, which is the richest consumers in India, they just can't live without quick commerce.
Person who's doing the business, you know that, okay, this has to cross 550. Yeah. And then you have to have the patience to wait till it crosses 550. It is going to take time. Yeah. If you give up, or if they had given up and someone else would have come along, by that time the average order value would have crossed 550. It would look like, oh, they were in it at the right time. So So timing is important.
So one thing that I wanted to always ask you, especially regarding the sweet businesses, how does the mithai wala operate? Because he doesn't have an MBA. And there is this store in Pune called Rasrang Sweets. Okay, you go to Rasrang Sweets, it's always full. He's got like 120 odd sweets. It is always full. And these sweets have a shelf life of 3 to 4 days max. Some of them last longer, but most of them have a shelf life of 3 to 4 days. So my question is, and whenever you ask them for, let's say, 250 grams of sweets, they pick it right out of the shelf itself. So it's not just for show. Those are real sweets. So my question is, without an MBA, how does this guy figure out what sweet, which sweet will sell, how much it will sell, and how to minimize wastage? ये 3 क्वेश्चन का जवाब ये कैसे फिगर आउट करते हैं?
I will answer this in 2 ways. One is MBA नहीं है ना, so एक store चला लेगा, and they are very good at it. When I was starting the Jumboking first, the Vada Pav version of it, so I used to go to my dad's store, and वहाँ पर there used to be this cook, halwai, okay, who had been making that Vada Pav का recipe for the last 20 years. And I had done my hotel management and an MBA. So I said, ये recipe को standardize करना है, and I need half a kg of this, half a kg of this, 1 kg of this. And he looked at me and he said, sir, आप बहुत पढ़ लिख के आए हो, यहाँ पर ये नहीं चलेगा. He knew he was the dada of that kitchen. I said, अरे क्यों, क्या हो गया, ये तो मैं आपका काम आसान कर रहा हूँ. He said, नहीं सर, हम यहाँ पर ऐसे ही बनाते हैं. So, and I was the owner's son. I said, नहीं, but I understand, कोई बात नहीं, I will not disturb you. And ये मुझे सुबह 6 बजे आना पड़ता था when they would make the masala. So, now next day 6 बजे पहुँच गया मैं वहाँ पे, and this guy like, साहब आप फिर आ गए. I said, हाँ, we have to, I want to learn. He said, पर आपके तरीके से नहीं होगा, मेरे तरीके से काम होगा. I said, no problem. I put a weighing scale. I said, आप ये कढ़ाई में डालते हो ना, आप ये weighing scale में डाल दो, मैं उसमें से कढ़ाई में डाल दूँगा. So I'm not disturbing you. Right? And I should keep on making my notings. I wanted to prove to him that what he is doing is incorrect. Now, over a 10-day study that I did, never once did his muthi ka hisab, as you know, adjust karta tha, was it off by more than 2 or 3%. That is how accurate the whole thing had become.
Okay.
And after 10 days, I said, boss, you are amazing. You've been doing this for 20 years. I remember, hats off to you for the skill that you have acquired. And then he was supposed to go to his village for his son's wedding. ऐसा आप मेरे को बता अब क्या होगा जब आप गांव जा रहे हो? He said, हाँ अब गड़बड़ हो जाएगा क्योंकि इन लोग नहीं कर पाएंगे. ऐसे ना ना मैं मेरा वजन वाला सिस्टम लगा लूँ तो आपकी रेसिपी मेंटेन. हाँ सब वो सही है. So he made packs for those 15 days which were measured, and then that system got implemented. Okay. So your question was about how does that guy, mithai guy, know कि वो 120 में से कितना बिकेगा, etc. So they intuitively know all of these things because of the amount of time they have spent on doing it.
Just that?
Just that. I in fact did an 80-20 analysis on my father's sweet shop, and I said, Dad, आपके sweet shop में ना आपके पास है 120 varieties, but बिकती ये 6 चीज़ें ही हैं. And so why don't we drop the other 114? He said, boss, यहाँ तू हाथ नहीं लगाएगा. You're going to do nothing over here. You do whatever you want in the other business that you have started. So I said that, no, it makes sense. आपका बाकी सब wasted inventory वो सब फेंकने वाला है. And why don't you just sell this and super specialize in that and become very, very good at what you do. But I could not have my way with him. And he said that इतने सालों से चल रहा है, the business is good, we are making good money, why do you want to change? See, that was the question which needed to be answered. Because I said that मेरा ambition ये है कि हमको ये ना 1000 stores बनाने हैं ऐसे. वहाँ पर standardization चाहिएगा. So the shop that you probably mentioned about, he may be making truckloads of money out of that one shop. He may be able to take it to a second shop, to a third shop. There is this saying that if you are carrying 100 products on your menu, your supply chain will work 10 kilometers. But if you have only 10 products on your menu, your supply chain will work 1,000 kilometers.
What are you saying, sir?
Yes. So
100 products, 10 kilometers.
10 kilometers. This is maybe a little exaggerated, but to make the point that 100 products, 10 kilometers, 10 products, 1,000 kilometers. So now you have to see whether I want to build one shop which is going to do great business, or I want to build 1,000 stores, which probably may not do as much business as that one store would, but cumulatively it would become a very, very valuable business.
So are you saying that I think it is also a game of perception. Because if I know that Rasrang has 140 sweets, I might go there, have a look at all the sweets and buy gulab jamun only. But the perception that Rasrang has a lot of sweets, that is enough to drive me in. And then eventually he'll make a profit out of gulab jamun, but he's driving me in because of my perception that he has a lot of sweets. Is that also an important factor when it comes to these?
Lovely, as in I am a research student, and obviously the question you're asking is very research oriented. So this was the next question my dad asked. कि यार सबको चाहिए होता है, किसी दिन ये किसी दिन वो, we cannot have it standardized कि सिर्फ 6 चीज रहेंगी in the entire mithai shop. It's weird, right? So I said, no, that's a damn good point. So I went back. I said, okay, now this is a problem to solve. So I came up, using my hotel management background, I said, Dad, हम rotating menu बनाते हैं. Which means these 6 things or 10 things, they regularly sell. And then let us have a rotating menu of another 10 things. Which we will, एकदम out of the box रहेगा, एकदम unique रहेगा. Because mithai का insight is it is consumed for 2 purposes. One is for personal consumption, which I go to my favorite thing and I want to buy that, no surprises. The other use of mithai is it is used for gifting. वहाँ पर I don't want to give the standard thing. Right? Over there I'll always say, नया क्या है बताओ. I said, let's crack both the problems, solve both the problems by saying, this is my standard menu, this is a super premium menu, बस ये आपको market में कहीं नहीं मिलेगा. And वहाँ पर हम novelty create करते रहेंगे. Right? Every month we will have a this month का special. So that takes care of the novelty factor also.
So did that work?
I never tried it. I ran out of money in my mithai business and I had to shut it down. And I had to choose between I was going down the FMCG route. And if I had to implement all of this, I would have to go down the QSR or the retail store route. They are completely different. In food business, it is easily mixed, as in people get confused. And so FMCG is packaged, 6-month shelf life, get into distribution. Retail is lesser shelf life, so I operate out of one place. And then I have, so in the FMCG business, I have hundreds of selling points. In the retail business, I have got one selling point and hundreds of customers come over there to buy.
Can you give me an example of this, sir?
Haldiram selling its mithai, bhujia, etc. out of 10,000 stores in the city. Right? And a mithai shop, this same mithai store, selling mithai out of one store.
Okay, so that is FMCG, this is?
That is FMCG,
retail.
This is retail.
Okay.
This is retail. In our business, it's called QSR, quick service restaurants. Mithai ke liye aisa, ye American concept hai, so we'll have to call it some, but it will categorize under the restaurant or the QSR business.
So Kaka, Alvai and Chitale Bandhu, they cracked what you just said, right? Which is having sweets at scale with national distribution.
Yes, probably. But then you have to choose one. See, there's this gentleman, his name is Al Rees. I'm a big fan of his. It was Al Rees. He speaks about focus, as in it is a must read for all students of business.
Al Rees.
Al Rees.
What's the name of the book, sir?
ALRIES. It's called Focus.
Just Focus.
Yeah, the future of your company depends on it.
Okay.
And he has done hundreds of case studies on how 2 companies which started at the same time, but one grew really well, the other did not. The difference was a very sharp focus which one of the 2 companies has maintained. And he's given hundreds of examples of how this whole, I have done in fact he also has another book called The 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing.
Oh, that's his book.
Yes. Where I have done a full, because I thought that someone needs to do an Indian version of it, because all those examples were American. So I said, yaar, ye India mein kaise samjhayenge? That's so. He talks about how all products, everything that we see around us will become a brand.
Okay.
Everything will, right? As we move closer towards becoming a developed economy. And her product mein category create hoegi. Right? And the category will be defined by price points, premium and non-premium. And in each category, there will be 2 leaders.
2 leaders.
As brands which will emerge.
Specifically 2?
Yes, 2, max 3.
Okay.
The first guy will take away a 60% market, 52% market share. Second guy a 26%. Third guy a 10%. And बाकी जो long tail 10 brands रहेंगे, they will all keep battling for the 10%, where it will be a price war. They will not really make money. So once you understand this about branding, then the game completely changes. You are like, okay, so I have to first choose category. And then if the category is taken, so then you have to create a subcategory. So like in Jumboking, when we pivoted from Vada Pav to burgers, right? We were like, was burger space, Vada Pav mein we were like category leaders, like hygiene, people who care for quality, those kind of things. They were automatically gravitating to us. They said that thoda mehenga hai, may not be as tasty as the roadside guy, but I want to value hygiene. But as a brand, when we moved from Vada Pav to burgers, in burgers there was the two international QSRs which were leaders, and I'm a student of Alries, so I know कि बस ये category तो is taken.
Okay, sir, let's rewind a little bit. Mithai store, and then Alries happened in your life, and then you started Jumboking?
No, so Alries had already happened. When I was talking about the dean in college. He used to have forced library lectures for us, and I had started reading a lot of autobiographies to see कि भाई इनमें क्या है, how do they do things. And all of them had the same struggle from this 0 to 10 stores. And then even greater struggle from 10 to 100 stores. I was like, boss, chalo, ye karna to padega. And then I was looking for what to create a brand around. The first thing I picked up was Mithai, which did not work. And then I took a 1 year kind of, I was just seeing aur kya karna chahiye, etc. And that is when my eyes went on this thing called Vada Pav, which in Mumbai was a very large category, lying completely unbranded. My friends used to joke कि boss तेरे को जायदाद से दखल कर दिया तेरे father ने, सच बता. Because why are you coming up with these kind of ideas? पहले मिठाई की branding करनी है, then उसके बाद वड़ा पाव की branding करनी है. My dad is like, boss इतना पढ़ा लिखा है तुमको, MBA करवाया, why aren't you getting any half decent ideas? Why are you doing all these kind of things? So I said that no, it's a very large category. Now he's like, category क्या होता है? सर, जाने दो. We can't get into that discussion. See, अगर मैं आपकी मिठाई शॉप में आऊँगा, मैं आपको वहाँ पर I'm going to give you stress. उससे अच्छा ही said that ठीक है, तू कर ले जो करना है.
Very convincing.
So that's how I got my freedom to operate.
Okay.
And yeah, so that's how Jumboking, the Vada Pav brand, started.
Okay, so you saw a very large unbranded market, very scattered and unorganized, and you said, let's build a brand over here because as we move towards the developed economy, all things will get branded. So the obvious choice for you after Mithai was Vada Pav because very large market, small product consumed in high volumes, and you thought it is very easily scalable. Also because you'd worked with your Vada Pav wala in your store.
No, I did that because I wanted to understand how to make good Vada Pavs.
Oh, so that was in the process of Jumboking.
Yes.
Okay. Then what happened, sir, after that?
So, just some more numbers. So, I did some research. Mumbai at that time used to consume about 2 million units of Vada Pav a day. 2 million is 20 lakh units of Vada Pav. And I was like, was not bad at all. Lying unbranded. Brands the her station pe there was a very big brand. But throughout the city there wasn't one. I said even इसमें से even 10%, यानी अगर 2 लाख लोग भी ऐसे हैं जो quality के लिए conscious है, they don't mind paying 1 or 2 rupees extra, that is the people that I'm going after. And if I get 50% of that market share, which would make us the market leader in that branded space, that is about 1 lakh units a day. I said, it's a reasonably large business to go after. And that is when this entire Vada Pav journey started, with me going back to the store, my father's shop, and trying to understand what is the best way to make a consistent, tasty product.
And then you figured it out?
Yeah, we figured it out. We did very well. Okay. And we used to buy it from them only. We outsourced it to them. Okay. And it was doing absolutely fine. Okay. Yes. Then, of course, as our volumes increased, we had to move to a factory. So
which year was this when you started Jumboking?
2001.
2001. And which was your first store?
This was in Malad East, Daftari Road. Yes.
And here's where you made Vada Pavs just like any other Vada Pav seller.
Correct. But the difference was we as a store had only 3 products. Okay. There's Vada Pav. We introduced something called Samosa Pav in Mumbai city. तभी ऐसा कुछ था ही नहीं.
So you introduced Samosa Pav?
Yes.
What are you saying?
And
sir?
I used to get a lot of stress from people. They say that तुम ये सब क्या करते हो? Samosa Pav क्या होता है?
अच्छा.
तुम मार्केट खराब कर रहे हो. I said नहीं सर, मैं तो ऑप्शन दे रहा हूँ कस्टमर्स को. So my dad was like, you can't do these things. You can't change traditional food. A samosa is eaten like this. I said that कहाँ लिखा है ऐसा? मैं try करने दो ना. I'll put a samosa, मैं पाव में डाल रहा हूँ. Let us see if customers take it.
If it goes to waste, you can sell Vada Pav and samosa separately.
So at that time, I had actually come from field business, so I was already, I had accepted that failure is going to be actually be a fast forward. That I have to learn kya hai. I don't have to sit and sulk over it. Learn from the mistake. So Jumboking was started only on 2 lakh rupees in investment.
Acha.
There was no project report. There was no bank finance. There was nothing. It was just 2 lakh rupees that got invested in making the store. And so we had 3 products: Vada Pav, Samosa Pav, and Lassi.
Okay.
Yes. And I think about 3 months into the business, we dropped Samosa Pav from the menu.
Why it was not doing well?
No, it was doing well, but the vada to fry takes about 2.5 minutes. Okay. Samosa to fry takes 7 minutes.
Oh, so optimization.
So we said that customers, when they are coming in, if I need to give them a hot product, then I'll have to make them wait for 7 minutes, which makes us slow. While we are saying that Vada Pav is fast.
Okay. Sir, help me understand the store economics. What was the rent of the store?
So this store was owned by my dad, so I did not have to pay him rent.
Okay, perfect. So what was the cost of your inventory, let's say on a monthly basis?
You're making me jog back my memory to 2001.
Yeah.
Okay, ठीक है. So,
even if you give me
approximately food cost in this business is at between 40 to 50%.
40 to 50%.
Landed at the store.
Okay, which is your COGS.
COGS.
Okay. So let's say if I'm selling a Vada Pav for 10 rupees, 4 to 5 rupees will be my COGS.
Correct.
And this obviously does not include employee salaries and stuff like that.
No. So
Can you help me understand the unit economics of a 10
unit
rupee
economics? Okay, is simple. Food cost ideally should be at about 40%.
Okay.
And then your rent should be at a max of 5 days of sale, which is 15%.
Okay.
If 1 day sale is 3.33%, 5 दिन का about 15% होता है. And your operating cost, which is your salaries and your electricity bill, etc., should be another 15%.
15%. That makes it
30%.
Yeah, that makes it 70% in total. So 30% is your margin.
30% is your margin. जिसमें like we are a franchise business, we charge a 10% royalty.
Okay, so this is the net margin.
This is the net margin.
Oh, net margin in the Vada Pav business is 30%?
Yes.
Oh, wow. So when you started your first store, do you remember the average footfall?
Oh, it used to be huge. We used to do like 1,000 customers.
A day?
A day.
Wow.
But the selling price was only 5 rupees. So itna mehnat karke, the cash collection at the end of the day was only 5,000 rupees.
And back, so this was in 2004, right? 2001. Okay. And the Vada Pav was back then selling for 3 rupees.
Market was at about $4. We were at 5.
Okay. But you had a store and you had employees and everything. So
it was a small store. It was about 200 square feet.
And how many employees?
About 4 people.
Okay. So was your cost of operation much more than the conventional Vada Pav seller?
Ours would have been similar. Okay. I don't think there would be. But because we were making only one thing, so we were optimizing for costs a lot.
Okay, and what were the conventional Vada Pav sellers doing? They were also optimizing for one thing only, right?
But they had multiple products.
Like bhajis and everything.
Bhaji, samosa, those kind of things they would have. Okay. And so it's like we were standard. My thing was isko standardize karo, because within the first, for us, advantage would have been scale. That one shop, I have got a certain centralized kitchen, which is manufacturing things. Now I put up another store, my back-end cost halves. While for all the other people, they were individual stores trying to run by themselves, all claiming that my Vada Pav is the tastiest. And they had no ambition of putting a second store. So our cost of manufacturing kept on reducing as we kept on adding more and more stores.
So first store, you were making 5,000 rupees a day only, which was too less. And then what did you do?
5,000 in sales. Huh? So mahine ka sale would be about 1.5 lakh.
1.5 lakhs, and 30% margin on that would be what?
45,000
rupees.
Yes.
Okay. So you were making 45,000 rupees per month with the Vada Pav store. Correct. Okay, this is excluding your salaries.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. So 45,000 rupees is what you were making. Correct. And then what did you do next?
So I had established proof of concept that this is working. The proof of concept was around that only Vada Pav can work. Because that was again going against what everybody else was doing, because they said that how can only one product survive? ये McDonald's कर सकता है with burgers. Domino's कर सकता है with pizzas. India में ये नहीं चलेगा. Indian products में you need to give customers variety.
But you did not have anything to drink with.
We had lassi and we had Pepsi.
Oh yeah. Pepsi I remember very well, sir.
Now we are a Coke brand, so now we serve Coke.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now you don't have lassi?
We removed lassi about 5 years into the business.
Any specific reason?
Again, shelf life issues. That product is fermented and we can, at that time technology was not available to, so as in garmi ho gayi, it would ferment faster and it would get spoiled, and we were operating across 30-40 locations. So we had to really kind of for us quality control always took precedence.
Okay. So you sold only Vada Pav. So this is almost going to be like a case interview, okay?
Yes, absolutely.
So you sold only Vada Pav. Cost
And
was...
why I'm very passionate about this is because I think the business that we are in, I feel this will become a $1 billion business. That is what excites me. And is tarike se na, Ganesh, there are going to be 10 other food products which, if people get the point, okay, we need to take one thing and super specialize, you are going to have $10 billion brands coming out of India. That is what excites me. And this is the food which will then eventually go outside also. So it is actually brand India which is, which will get created.
Very interesting, sir. So you were selling only Vada Pav. You dropped Samosa Pav.
Correct.
You were selling lassi along with it. So lassi was also...
Which we dropped eventually.
So when you started first, lassi was also selling, right?
It was selling. Yes.
Was it selling well?
Very well.
Okay. So ये 1.5 lakh rupees में this is only Vada Pav's revenue.
Correct.
So lassi का कितना revenue था, sir? Any idea?
₹1 और जोड़ लीजिए. So 5 rupees became 6 rupees. So 1,000 into 6, that would be 6,000 rupees.
Oh, and same margin.
Similar margins, yes, similar margins.
So then you established proof of concept that Vada Pav sells. We have established a process to make Vada Pavs tasty consistently. And my question is, did you have a professional chef or was it idiot proof?
There was no professional chef. I had an interesting chef. In fact, the chef who used to make the things, जैसे store चलने लगा, he thought कि, my recipe is working very well, and I am, and he wanted to go on छुट्टी. So I said that हाँ जाओ. He said sir 50,000 advance चाहिए. I said नहीं मिलेगा. He said सर फिर मैं काम छोड़ रहा हूँ. I said that's okay. He said sir recipe मेरा है. I was like okay. So I called his junior. I said वो अपना recipe निकालो. And I told him इसका ना अभी तुम 10 Xerox बनाओ. The guy went. The guy thought that I'm trying to create Xeroxes of the recipe so that in case he takes it away, I will have 10 copies. So I said, when the junior came with the 10 copies, I said, अब ये recipe ना जाके तुम जितना भी वड़ा पाव स्टोर है ना मलाड में सबको बांट के आओ. ऊपर लिखो जम्बोकिंग रेसिपी. You're like, sir, ये क्या कर रहे हो? सबको पता चल जाएगा. I said, boss, this is a myth in the food business.
What is that myth, sir?
That there is a secret recipe.
What are you saying, sir?
There is no secret recipe.
Really?
Yes.
Sir, you are breaking the biggest myth that I had, which is about the moat of these companies, because there is this place called Kalyan Evan Pani Puri in Pune.
Okay.
Whenever I go to Pune, I have Pani Puri only from Kalyan Evan Pani Puri. There is a Bhel Puri shop called Nitin Bhel. I have Bhel Puri only from there. I have asked them countless times.
The reason is these guys are super specializing in what they are doing. That is their secret recipe.
So you
and
say
I'll
that is
prove it to
scalable?
you why.
Okay.
Why this happened. I'm not theoretically speaking. So एक दिन my guy उसने ना नमक कम डाला in the product, and but sale पूरा first class हो रहा है. And in the evening I also used to have my snack. I had the product. I said, boss, आज तुमने नमक नहीं डाला है या भूल गए हो? He also tasted. Said, हाँ sir, sorry, आज गड़बड़ हो गया. I said, boss, कोई भी customer complain नहीं कर रहा है that the salt is less, because by that time Jumboking as a Vada Pav brand had picked up. So I said, boss, this is strange. How can this happen? So we did a market research. So I used to be at the counter. I started telling people, sir, what is the most important thing? Why do you like Jumboking? So out of 10 customers, 9 said, sir, हमेशा गरम मिलता है.
Oh.
No one said, आप हल्दी डालते हो या कुछ और डालते हो या आपका लहसुन is good or any of those things. गरम मिलता है. I said, boss, the real secret is every customer coming in, if he can get the vada pav at 90 degrees. We had measured the temperature.
Oh, wow.
Right? And my guy would make fun. He'd say that, sir, ये temperature अब हर कम मापे हम when the guy is eating it. I said, no, I know what you're trying. You're trying to be smart. But the thing is, when the guy bites into the vada pav, वो वड़ा में से steam निकलना चाहिए. Right? So I know that this is at the perfect temperature. So that's when we realized the real winner in why our store is doing well is he is sure कि हमेशा यहाँ गरम मिलेगा. The बाजू वाला जो 10 चीज बना रहा है ना, उसके बाद कभी गरम मिलता है, कभी ठंडा मिलता है. So all of these people, आप ये जो नाम दिए ना अपने for the bhel or the pani puri, you will see what they are doing is out of the 20 things that they sell, वो by default उनका एक और दो products successful हो गए हैं. Over there, the velocity at which they get churned is better. So they are always fresh, either super hot, or if it is lassi, then it is super chilled. And that is how, they become famous for it. More people come, their velocity becomes even better, they become even more famous, and they become specialists in that.
Amazing.
And the mistake people do is then they become famous, then they sab sale aur badhani hai. Right? And I tell people, boss, you cannot milk the cow more. A cow can only give you 6 liters of milk.
And what do they do in order to increase the sales?
They add more products. Then they get unfocused. Then they lose what their core is. And they become like everyone else.
Very interesting. So you established all of these proof of concepts at that particular store as to what exactly gets the customer in. What exactly is the USP that your customer thinks about Jumboking? What exactly is your moat, which is hygiene and standardization? And then you also became chef independent, if that's the right word to use. And then what did you do?
Then I had to establish the next thing, which was proof of scale.
Proof of scale.
First is proof of concept, next is proof of scale. कि ये एक जगह तो चल गया. Right? Will I be able to do it at another location also?
Okay.
So that's when store number 2 started, which was also in Malad East, on Rani Sati Marg. And from day 1 over there, we got very, very good sales.
Okay. Without you being there?
Without me being. I used to keep oscillating between the 2 stores. There will be a store manager. So being done hotel management, I knew how to build teams. Hamari briefing hoti thi. They would knew what to do. So then someone said, nahi sir, ye Malad East mein aapko sab jante hain. You put your second store in the same market. So that's why you are working. It may be working. I said, okay, that makes sense. So we put up a third store in Andheri West.
Andheri West, okay.
Our sales were super amazing. So I like, well, this is working. Now there is proof of scale.
Okay, so did you build a centralized kitchen for all these 3 stores?
For these 3 stores, I was still buying from my father's unit.
Okay.
After this is when we set up a separate central kitchen.
Okay, after 3 stores?
After 3 stores.
Okay.
After 3 stores, we set up a separate central kitchen. After 3 stores, I started franchising. It was a huge change because I love what McDonald's had done, what Ray Kroc had done, what Fred DeLuca had done with Subway. So I was a big fan of franchising. So I पहले proof of एक बार ये concept and scale create किया. Now I said, now I have to franchise this.
So in proof of scale, kitchen design is a very important part, right?
Yes.
And I have seen your kitchen design, so I know how efficient it is. So, but I don't understand how much that efficiency contributes to the cost. So can you give me like an idea about how do you design these kitchens and what exactly is the result of that optimization on the cost?
See, actually, it is like, it is common sense. If you use common sense, it is super easy.
Okay.
So when we would be standing in the store and the staff is working really, really fast, trying to churn out the orders, if there is any cross movement happening in the staff, so you just need to know that he's crossing over because there's some equipment kept here which needs to be moved to this side. So that this guy will then keep on moving like this and this guy will move like this.
This is Frederick Taylor's concept, right?
I don't know.
Okay.
This is if you watch the movie The Founder.
Yeah.
Uske andar they have
I've
said
seen that.
how, Ray Kroc had this whole kitchen design happening and all of
They use
those.
the pan, whatever that is, and then
Yes.
they move it in the same direction.
Correct.
Okay.
So it's the same. See, it's the law of gravity.
How do you learn that, sir? Because let's say Vada Pav ke liye aapne crack kar diya. Let's say tomorrow I want to do something for dosas. Like what is my approach on how should I figure out my kitchen design for making dosas?
Correct. It's simple. You just start.
Okay.
And you'll make a lot of mistakes. Just observe what is happening. Where is the cross functions happening?
So just the mindset of optimization is important.
It will happen automatically. You cannot see. There's no point of procrastination. बैठ के सोचते रहो, nothing will come out of it. Start off. Today, our kitchens are way more efficient than what they were 10 years ago. And I know 10 years from today, they will be way more efficient than what they are today. So you have to always, as in we all always keep saying that, okay, what next? Keep on disrupting yourself.
Okay. Can you give me a step-by-step process guide on what exactly happens right from the time the customer places the order all the way till he gets the order? Okay. So let's say I go to Jumboking and I place an order. Right. I place an order for, let's say, a Szechuan burger. Okay, what is the process?
So the guy will come in. We have a script at the cashiers. He'll say, "Sir, welcome to Jumboking. Would you like to try the combo of the day?" Okay. And फिर जो भी combo रहेगा, either the customer chooses that, or say you chose the Shezwan Jumboking. So he'll say okay, and he will take his mobile number. We have a loyalty program. वो उसके points upload कर देगा, and take the money. The cash transaction gets over there, and then he places the order with the kitchen, one Shezwan Jumboking.
Okay, how much time does it take to take this order?
It should all be done in under 30 seconds max.
Then step number 2.
Step number 2 is that guy, so there's a script, he says one Shezwan Jumboking, he's confirming back the order, that he's heard it right. Okay. Because sometimes he may have upsold you a Shezwan Jumboking with cheese.
Oh, okay.
So he needs to communicate that, and he needs to communicate back that he got the order right.
Is this human intervention required, or is there a digital display which goes to the kitchen
It can
also?
be done, but it's like if मेरे को यहाँ से पुणे जाना है, I don't need to go by flight, right? I can drive down. Or designing is not required sometimes. If I have to go from here to Delhi, I'll take a flight. Here to Pune, a car is as efficient. So in a small 200 square feet setup, I don't need too much. We always believe technology should be an enabler. It has to reduce my cost.
So, but what if there are 10 people?
Yeah.
10 people giving different orders.
It does not happen that way. So there are 2 cashiers, and they are receiving the orders.
So this is again something that you figured out with experience.
Yes,
that there is
yes.
not.
If we get to a point where there will be 10 cashiers, then we will need those displays. They are easily available. We know how to get it. We have vetted that technology, and we saw that it is going to not add value.
Because this is what McD uses, right?
Yes, they use it.
So then there's a call out. After the call out, the burger is
That guy,
prepared.
he puts the patty into the fryer. It's a 2.5 minute process. He has to put it on, and within that much time, he warms up the bun, and then dresses it up with the sauce and the lettuce and the onions. 2.5 minutes, the patty is ready. It will give a beep. He has to remove it, put it onto the bun, put the heel and the crown, and it's wrapped and it is given out to the customer. So all of this should happen in under 3 minutes.
Okay, so 30 seconds for the order to get placed.
Yeah.
2.5 minutes for the patty to get ready. And then another 30 seconds for them to give you that.
Yes.
Okay. So which is a 3.5 minute process you say?
3 minutes is normally when this takes place. And also we have this JK of the day, which is a promotion that we do. So 80% of all orders come around the JK of the day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So then we have a patty holder, which so he preempts the orders. He knows ke ye rush hour hai, at this hour I'm going to sell about 50 units.
And this patty comes from the centralized kitchen today.
Comes from the centralized kitchen. So ये 4 fry करके रखता है, holds it at 80 degrees. So the moment the order comes, he's quickly, putting it into the product and sending it out. And so your order is actually ready in under 1 minute. Now this level of efficiency requires that you have a very small menu. That's why in Jumboking we have a very strong menu discipline. There are only 7 burgers.
Interesting. Now let's go back to your Vada Pav story, sir. Okay. Understood how the kitchen design works. Then after opening 3 stores, you had a centralized kitchen. Correct. Okay, after that, you moved from Vada Pav to burger, right?
Yes.
Why, sir?
So this was in 2017.
2017? Yes. Which is 16 years after you started.
16 years after we started. Okay. And we were doing a lot of things, and the brand was known. And I got this beautiful insight from 2 instances which happened. Okay, at Vashi station we have a store where we do good business, and right next to us there was this local burger guy who also used to do reasonably good business. So we sent out our market research team over there. That market is, and so we said that let us go and ask our customers after they are done, कि sir यहाँ पर burger था, Jumboking क्यों आए? And just listen to what he's saying, record it. Then go to the burger का customers. तो इसे that सर अरे वो अलाउ नहीं करेगा. सर हाँ तुम कॉलेज स्टूडेंट बन के चले जाओ, हम प्रोजेक्ट रिपोर्ट कर रहे हैं. प्रोजेक्ट रिपोर्ट दे दो कोई कॉलेज स्टूडेंट को. But we need to figure out the science of how people are choosing. So we had to ask them कि बस आप यहाँ पर Jumboking था, आप यहाँ पर क्यों आए? Because by that time we had some burgers in our menu.
Okay.
I thought they would all come to us, but they were still going to this guy who was right next to us. So they said, नहीं सर ये burger बेचता है, ये वड़ा पाव बेचते हैं. जब वड़ा पाव खाना है, we go to Jumboking. Burger खाना है, we come here. So that's when we said that we are writing Jumboking Vada Pav on our main board. We are famous as Vada Pav. We are trying to introduce burgers, right? I'll come to the story why burgers. in a little while. But so I said, but we will have to drop Vada Pav from our main board and put burgers over there. Otherwise, people will keep thinking that we are a Vada Pav brand trying to sell burgers.
Identity.
And the brand positioning. What is Jumboking? It's a Vada Pav brand or it's a burger brand? Al Rees says you have to focus. You cannot be both. So we had to take the tough call of moving to burgers. Now, why this? Because there is a problem with the name of the product, of the category. वड़ा पाव के लिए मैं 20 रुपए से ज़्यादा नहीं भरूंगा.
Correct. I was just about to say that.
And burger के लिए मैं happily 50 रुपए भरूंगा. I'll feel it's damn good value for money.
And if you look at the design of burgers and vada pav, it's very similar.
It's very similar. The only difference is that the burger bun has sesame seeds, which cost about 95 paise more. Instead of the garlic sauce, which was potato based, we use garlic mayonnaise, which increased our sauce cost by about 1.5 rupees. And the patty, instead of having besan ka coating, right, tempura coating we used to call it, it has breadcrumbs coating, which actually reduced our cost. But we were able to move from 20 rupees to 39 rupees.
Wow. That is 100% increase in cost.
Yes. In selling price, not in cost, in the selling price. Cost to the customer, yes.
Wow.
But we realized that, and so we did it as an experiment, and people said, "Arey, this is damn tasty, very good burgers." And हम बोल रहे हैं, "Sir, ये वड़ा पाव था, there was nothing different." But I said, "नहीं, वो वड़ा पाव है ना, so वड़ा पाव, I will not pay more than this." And I said, "You can't fight the market." So आपका जो point है ना about timing is important, right? It is more of, as an entrepreneur, you have to be open to what does the market need. The younger generation is more aspirational. Indians are becoming richer, right? And they want to have burgers, right? So we said that we have to move to burgers. And it was a very, very tough call because we were the ones seen as the people who were fighting the burgers. But then we said that isko scalable karna hai, let us build a very, very strong, viable Indian burger brand.
So you went all the way back and changed your operations fundamentally just so that you can go from vada pav to burgers?
For us, operations did not change. It's the brand positioning which really had to change.
Okay, but
we
this
were
sesame
even
seeds-
thinking whether we should change the name of the brand
Oh, wow.
and call it Joburg. That was one of the names, which had Jumboking burger ko Joburg bolenge, Joburg by Jumboking.
It's actually very cool,
Slowly
sir.
shift. Huh?
It's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, but we said, then I read some stories that Marlboro Lights actually had started as a women's cigarette brand. And it did not do well, and they changed. They got the cowboy in and made it into a men's thing. I said, if they could do it, we can also do it.
We actually made a case study on that, sir.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very interesting. So you moved from vada pav to burger, I can sense, because of 3 reasons. Number 1, the perception that people had about a vada pav was not more than a 20 rupee product. An example of the same to understand this would also be the difference between Bata and Nike. Like if I give you 5,000 rupees and I ask you to buy a Bata shoe, you would be like 2,000 rupees is enough for a Bata. But if I give you 5,000 rupees and I ask you to buy a Nike shoe, you will say 5,000 rupees is not enough to buy a Nike shoe. So the perception that an object has in the mind of the customer determines not just how much the customer pays, but also how much you make out of it. And surprisingly, it has got nothing to do with your cost of operation. A vada pav might cost X, a burger might cost you X plus 2 rupees, but vada pav might command an X plus 20% margin, but a burger might command 100% more margin as compared to a vada pav. That is so interesting, sir. Just that tweak in positioning.
It's the brand positioning.
And this came out of a market research.
Yes. There was another insight. I said 2 cases. Another insight was, there's this friend of mine who wanted us to carry his yogurt brand at Jumboking stores. Epigame yogurt, you might have heard of. So I said that, we were looking at what is to be done. And he said, ye kya hai? I said, very cool category you hit, Greek yogurt, very nice, cool sounding. So he said, Dheeraj, actually pata hai kya hai? I said, Greek yogurt. He said, nahi, ye Shrikhand hai.
Acha.
I was like, what? So he said, yes, exactly. Look at your expression. Like, Shrikhand hai apna, ye to apna, ghar ki cheez hai. So he said, now मैं इसको श्रीखंड बोलता है ना, 20 रुपए नहीं देते, बट मैं इसको ग्रीक योगर्ट बोलता हूँ, 50 रुपए देने वाले हो.
Wow.
So I was like, oh my God, that is when my bells were ringing. I'm like, boss, I know the mistake that we are making. We have to pivot as fast as we can and move to burgers.
That is amazing, sir.
And the second thing, anyway, was outside of Mumbai and Pune, maybe no one cares for Vada Pavs.
Yeah,
I said, we'll have to spend crores and crores of money telling people Vada Pav hota kya hai.
Concept selling.
Concept selling. I said, boss, I don't want to do that. I have already done that in the past. Burgers, market is already made. I want to ride that wave. So let's move to burgers.
Sir, this is very interesting, sir. So now I want to understand the unit economics of your burger. So how did it change? Now I know the unit economics of Vada Pav. Okay, can you give me the unit economics of a burger after you pivoted?
Yeah, so I know you must be thinking, abhi to bahut paise ban rahe honge. So this is like, salary going up from 1 lakh rupees to 2 lakh rupees, savings 10% hi hoti hai. And you're like, well, how the hell did this happen?
Kaise, sir?
Yeah, so what happened is, of course, we were making our vadas out of a very simple, small kitchen, right? And now we were yearning to move to, there are these amazing players like Vista Foods who provides us the patties. It is an ISO 22000 certified kitchen. Then Cremica, we buy all our sauces from them, right? Then Big Best, they make our bread.
What is it called, sir?
Big Best. It's a
Bake Best.
Mrs. Bector Foods. That's also a listed company. So I said, and they come with massive plants, 100 crores of investment, and there, all those machines and bulk production happening. We buy about 80 tons of frozen material a month from Vista Foods every month.
80 tons.
Yes. Their throughput from one line is 12 tons per one shift of 8 hours. So our entire production is about a 7-day production for them from one shift. They run their plant in 3 shifts. That is the kind of mass production that they do. Of course, we get the benefit of the economies of scale. Now, loading, so of course, it's like you have X-ray machines, the product goes through that so that there are no foreign particles. Very, very good world-class manufacturing facilities. Now, if I had tried to load all of that infrastructure cost on the Vada Pav, we would never have been able to buy from them. We had to continue buying from the local unit where probably we did not have these kind of controls in place.
Sir, I did not understand this. Can you elaborate this a little bit?
So, Vada, when we were buying, we knew we can't charge more than 20 bucks, right? So my food cost cannot be more than 8 rupees, which will allow me to buy bread from a simple bakery, not from one which is, using X-ray machines to see कि उसमें foreign particle है या नहीं.
Oh, so here the cost was very less.
Cost was less because you can say there was borderline compromise happening on food safety because they were not following all those norms, right? But if they had to follow all of those norms, they'll say, sir, now bread is going to cost 5 rupees. Now I can't buy that bread and take it to the market and sell it into a Vada Pav because then I'll tell my customers, sir, ab 40 rupees ho gaye. They'll say, boss, for Vada Pav I will not pay 40. Utne mein to mujhe burger mil jayega. So we were stuck on both sides where RM cost, if we move to factories, it keeps on going up. But the pricing elasticity in terms of how much we can charge, that is not going up as fast.
Okay. So let's do the unit economics for this, then I think it will be more clear.
Yeah.
What all do we need for a burger?
Food cost remains the same.
Food cost remains the same.
40%.
40%.
Yes. Operating cost remains the same.
And this
15
includes
and 15.
This includes the bread,
Patty,
the patty,
sauces, and the
Sauces.
packing material.
and packing material.
Yeah.
All of this comes from
So we are now able to do much better packaging.
Okay.
Each of the wrapper has the name, has separate color. So we are able to, do all of these things.
Okay. And now this comes from these giant players like Vista, Cremica, and
Yes.
Big Best.
Big Best.
Okay. Then what is the other cost that we have now? 40% is the
Food cost. Yes. And so our entire distribution, I must mention, is handled by RKFL, Radhakrishna Foodland.
Radhakrishna Foodland.
So we have it's a very complex business at the back end.
Yeah, that's what
So
I'm trying to figure out.
one
sir.
guy is making the patty, the other one is making the sauce, the third is making the bread, and someone completely different is making all the packaging. All of this gets consolidated at the central DC, which is Radhakrishna Foodland. DC is distribution center.
Okay.
Radhakrishna Foodland has bought 10 tons of frozen patty for the week
Frozen patty from Vista.
from Vista.
Okay.
Right? They require about 20 tons a week. So they have got that product. Now, uska breakup has 7 patties are there,
Okay.
plus the basic one, so 8. So he has bought, say, 5 tons of one patty, 2 tons of the other, 3 tons of the third one, 1 ton of the fourth one, and kept in the DC. Each store is going to buy only 200 kgs of frozen material. So they place the order. They'll say, "Mujhe Szechuan patty ka 1 case. 1 case is 15 kgs. Cheese burst patty ka 1 case, which is 15 kgs. Regular burger, Mumbai burger, which is there, uska 3 case." So that is how they place their orders. Now, RKFL does the picking. 1 of this, 3 of this. And then they load the vehicles. Each vehicle has a fixed route. They ply on fixed routes where they are allowed, they service only about 7 stores per day per route.
Do you have a logistics partner or do you do it
This
in-house?
is RKFL. They are specialists in distribution.
Okay. So they place the order, collect it, and then distribute it
And
also.
then sell it at the stores or give it to the stores.
Okay.
So all of this complexity is why we have to have a very small menu. The moment we complicate it, and this is the, I think we are fortunate because we were learning from the best in the business. If you look at the entire McDonald's menu, they don't have more than about 8 or 9 burgers. And I should think, kam kyun rakh rahe hain? Why can't they have more burgers? While you'll see some of the local players, unke paas 20 variety, 30 variety in burgers hain. But the thing is, because they are operating out of one store. The moment you go to scale, you cannot operate in that way.
So what is it called, the Radha?
Radha Krishna Foodland, RKFL.
RK Foodland. Okay. Then RK Foodland distributes it to only 7 stores per truck.
Per day, per truck. So we have 116 stores in Mumbai. So they get serviced. So there are routes. So now he applies 3 trucks, 4 trucks per route.
And they use data to analyze which is the most optimized route.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. That has to get optimized. It's like when we are going towards Borivali and beyond, Virarka route that is kept together. All those stores have to order on the same day. And they have to order for 1 week stock, because if I'm getting serviced on Tuesday, my next stock will come on next Tuesday.
So do you have a software integrated at the store level which can actually help them understand how many orders are they supposed to place for next week based on predictable patterns?
So the software is available, but we don't use it. We override the software because there are sometimes local things which happen. Like is hafte, Wednesday was a holiday, 1st May. The software would have said, place this much order, but I know my business is going to be 20% lower. So I need to lower the... so these guys, there are only 8 units. So they are very easily able to place orders. Again, technology has to be an enabler.
So these stores, they don't use any tech particularly in order to understand the patterns of demand. They can do that with their own acumen.
Yes.
So this order needs to be placed 7 days in advance. Yes. And then this order goes to RKFL. Then RKFL procures products from Vista, Cremica, Bake Best. And then based on that, they receive the order and then they ship it to the respective stores. Okay. Do these stores have to follow like a discipline of placing the orders on the same day?
Yes. So they have to place the order 1 day in advance. The ordering window closes at 2 p.m. Okay. They have to make their payment. All our vendors get paid in advance.
Okay.
So
advance?
Advance.
Wow, that's interesting, sir.
Yeah. So we have 0 default in the system. And so they pay by 2 p.m. the placing of order and the proof of that the payment has been made is done. RKFL then has to dispatch that order booklet, or as in obviously it is emailed to the distribution center where the picking happens at 6 p.m. in the evening. For the truck to be loaded next day in the morning, it leaves at 7 a.m. So that all the stores can get their material latest by 12 noon.
Okay, love it.
So it's like all clockwork precision that this whole thing has to work 365 days of the year.
I can understand, sir.
Yes, and in multiple markets.
Now
Delhi,
I can understand.
Hyderabad, Pune, all markets have to get serviced. And as Jumboking grows, as in, when we get to 1,000 stores, so the prototype is now laid. This is now scalable. Ab aap isko, you can stamp out as much as you can.
Very interesting. So I'll give you a blueprint that you have given me in this entire conversation and you tell me if there is any correction or addition that needs to be made. So the first thing that you need to do, if you want to build a branded, scalable model in food, is that number 1, you pick one food. Number 2, you specialize in that particular food, establish proof of concept. In proof of concept, you first have independent of the chef, Number 2 is consistency with the product. Number 3 is understanding the USP, which the customer appreciates. Number 4 is the integrity at the store level, which is making sure that the customer is satisfied. Here, everything from hospitality to on time.
And he's coming back to buy again.
Okay, that comes into play. And then after you establish this proof of concept, then what you do is you try and expand to 2 or 3 more places where you try and see if that store is doing the same amount of sales without your presence. If that is also happening, then you have a proof of scale that this thing is scalable. Then what you do is you optimize on the efficiency by establishing centralized kitchen. And this centralized kitchen will now allow you to place the same number of orders, same quality of orders, but at a reduced price. Then after you established proof of scale, you tried scaling up. And then you did that for the next 16 years. And after that, you realized that you need to go from Vada Pav to burger because of perception play, because you can push the margins higher
So
and the
we
cost
actually moved to all of these players after we moved from Vada Pav to burgers.
higher. Oh, okay.
In Vada Pav, we were doing all of these things, but with simpler people.
Okay. So once you have the centralized kitchen, in that centralized kitchen, you also have to establish certain partnerships with vendors who can give you the material required to make that particular food. And here's where the power of focus comes in, because instead of one item, if you have 8 other items, then you will not be able to achieve economies of scale with your partners. As a result, your cost will go up. But if you have 1 or 2 items and you specialize in that, then you will understand that economies of scale is helping you with efficiency, which in turn is helping you with profits, which in turn you can pass it on to the franchise. As a result, you can scale further,
And that is what gives you your unique selling proposition in the market.
which is efficiency and quality.
Yes. So you're able to sell a better quality at a better price compared to competition because you are laser sharp focused on a few things.
Oh, wow. Lovely.
While your competition is unfocused and selling hundreds of things.
Then you evolved from Vada Pavs to burgers because you could push the selling price higher. As a result, you aimed to achieve better margins, but you did not achieve better margins, but you achieved enough scale all across the country. Because
What we achieved was being able to buy from the world-class manufacturers, which we were not being able to do at the lower price.
Okay. And that also, when it comes to burgers, you also had an added advantage. That is, burger was known as a concept all across India. Vada Pav was known only in Maharashtra. So you did not do concept selling because it is a cash burn procedure. You would rather do something different that the customer likes, which is slightly different from what you were doing currently, so that we can achieve product market fit.
Yes.
So basically evolved Vada Pav into burger by adding sesame seeds and mayonnaise and stuff like that. But what you ended up doing is achieve product market fit. And once you achieve product market fit, you're also able to place orders and build partnerships with these bigger companies like Vista, Cremica, Bake Best and RKFL. Okay. And this gave you your supply chain, which is you were able to procure products at a low cost because of your scale. 2, they were of very high quality because of the standards that they followed. And 3 is that because you had established proof of concept at the store level, you knew all the intricacies, because of which you were now able to use tech in order to automate those processes, wherein those stores could function without your presence in those particular stores. Okay, great. So now I want to come to your franchise model.
So, ek cheez aur can I add to this?
Yeah, please, sir.
So my business coach, she actually much later explained what was happening to me. I think it might be useful for your viewers. That I said I could not have done all of this from day one. Right? So the concept that she introduced to me was that in the journey of any business that gets built, first is the stage called the stage of formulation. That is where you are trying to see whether the idea which I have, whether it's going to work or not.
Okay, stage of formulation. Okay.
And this formulation stage, I define it loosely as between when you're building a business from 0 to about 10 crores. ये आपका formulation stage है, right? Where everything that you're doing, if it fails, you don't care. If it succeeds, anyway, you have nothing to lose. So you are enjoying the journey, right? Because I'm assuming that you start with nothing and you're trying to prove yourself. Okay. The moment you cross this 10 crore mark, तब क्या होता है? आपके बारे में पहला newspaper article आता है. This is the next McDonald's or this is the next Infosys or this is the next whatever. So the entrepreneur becomes a little I have something to lose now. वो थोड़ा सा risk taking, उसकी capacity थोड़ी कम हो जाती है. He wants to play safe. So this journey is known as the journey of concentration.
Journey of concentration.
This is the second part.
Okay, what does that mean, sir?
Which loosely is, I'll explain it, which is roughly from 10 crores to about 100 crores. Here, every 10 units of effort put in gives you only 1 unit of output. And I have lived through this.
Can you give me an example?
What were we doing for 17 years? Right? Why the hell would we have taken so long to cross this 100 crore mark in business? We were doing everything right. We were as smart as we are sounding today. We knew all of these things, right? Focus ka pata tha, efficiencies ka pata tha, hotel management kiya hua tha, MBA kiya hua tha, right? But team thi, everything was there. But we were not being able to make much headroom because 10 units of effort was giving us 1 unit of result. And you have to push through, you have to keep at it. Most of the people, this is the time when if you have got a lot of private equity in your company, right? People get impatient. They'll say, boss, एक और product launch करो या एक और brand launch करो.
Focus हट जाता है.
Focus हट जाता है, and that is where most of the entrepreneurs, because of the pressure of performance, they give in and they end up adding a lot of things.
Wow. I find it very relatable, sir.
Yeah. So being able to stay true, because focus will work, because that is what gets thrown out. Like people say, stop saying focus, focus. Boss, India में नहीं चलता है. Look at what everyone around is doing. What people are not realizing is everyone around is working under pressure to either prove their numbers to investors, or there is because competition is getting unfocused. So I feel that must be the answer. I also get unfocused. And then, so once you kind of pass through this, that is when you get the right to win, right? Which is the third stage, which is the stage which is called as the stage of momentum, where 1 unit of effort gives you 10 units of result.
Here's where you achieve scale, right?
Yes. And from 100 to 1,000 to 5,000 to whatever, jitna fir aapka ambition hai, you can keep on growing it. Of course, remaining focused, not thinking, boss, now I am through, I'm out of the woods, I'm going to do whatever I want. People launch a second brand, a third brand, right? While I keep saying that Ray Kroc, he built McDonald's his entire life. He was not stupid, right? Howard Schultz continues to build Starbucks, one brand, and then take it worldwide. Why, as entrepreneurs, why can't we look at, let us take one thing and go? Coke is one company, right? One product worldwide. Nike shoes, all over the world. Usme maza aayega. That is what excites me.
So that is so interesting. And here you mentioned Howard Schultz. And I remember once he stepped down as the CEO and gave it to somebody else.
Yes.
What they did was nothing but diverge from their core philosophy of serving the best coffees. So they said, instead of just coffees, let's add breakfast also, let's add music also, and so on and so forth. As a result, the company's profit started going down, the quality started going down, and here's where the supply chain philosophy comes in, where if you have 10 products, your supply chain will if you have
100 products, your supply chain will work for 10 kilometers.
If you have 100 products, your supply chain will go up to 10 kilometers. If you have 10 products, it will go up to 1,000 kilometers. So Starbucks' supply chain collapsed. And the first thing that Howard Schultz came and did was eliminate everything. This is exactly what Steve Jobs also did in 1996 when he came back. The first thing he did was ask every engineer what he was building and ask them to shut down everything. And for 2 years, they did not build anything. They just focused on their identity of who they are. And that's when he came out with the Think Different campaign, comes back and then launches the iPod and then launches the iMac. And if you look at Apple also, what is Apple, sir? Apple is nothing but a result of 7 successful products. That's it.
So absolutely. So that's why the entrepreneur is so important. Sometimes people feel you can replace the entrepreneur with the professional. So thoda sa yahan par farak padta hai. There has been some studies that can you put a lot of money behind it and put a professional and scale it up? It can be done, but I think that an entrepreneur treats it very, very differently. There is some insight which he has, because of which the company really does well.
Also the ability to, I wouldn't say ability, but the thirst of finding how to do better. I think that is what pushes the fabric
the
of
thirst
innovation.
To stay on when the going is tough. I would have quit at least 10 times in the last 22 years. I should have. right? Because there were really dark, dull days where I was like, well, nothing is working, right? But then you push on because as an entrepreneur, it's like your baby. You don't throw the baby out.
Yeah, that is so amazing, sir. So you're saying formulation, concentration, momentum. In formulation, you try and
This
test.
is all proprietary stuff from my business coach, Minu Mariel. Mariel, Mynoomariel.
Okay, credits to her. So 0 to 10 is formulation, where you try and establish proof of concept, where you establish that this is what you're going to build. After you do that, you go from 0 to 10 crores, then you go from 10 to 100 crores, and here's where you have concentration. So here you have an identity to lose, you have a business to lose, you have a reputation that you now have to stand up to, and that kind of results into paralysis of risk taking.
Or you have got success, so you get arrogant and you start doing 5 other things. And therefore it goes down. Maybe you start taking too much risk, unnecessary risk. You get unfocused.
And this is where entrepreneurs often lose focus. And here's where they need to get their head down and understand how do this scale. And achieving scale requires clarity and focus. And that is how the result of these two attributes is what results into the direction of momentum, where you go from 100 crores to 1,000 crores and so on and so forth. Okay, very interesting. So now let's come to your franchise model. When we did a case study on Chai Sutta Bar, we understood that there are 4 types of franchise models: COCO, FOFO, COFO, and FOCO. So which is company owned, company operated. I think it is better that you explain it, sir.
So there's another 5th one also called Momo. मैं मस्ती में बोलता हूँ ये.
सच में?
ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है. So there are only 2 models.
Okay.
Either it is FOFO, franchise owned, franchise operated, or COCO, company owned, company operated.
Okay.
There is no third business model.
Really, sir?
Yes. Whatever is there is because there's no rule guiding you or stopping you from not doing this. That is why people do all of these things. And then 5 other people justify looking at this person, अरे वो कर रहा है हम भी कर लेते हैं.
Okay.
Right? And I have tried all of these business models, by the way.
Acha.
COCO, as in all of these things. Because what happens is we always feel, अरे I'm smarter, the other people are not smart enough. मैं चला लूँगा. किसी और का नहीं चला, but मैं करूँगा ना तो फिर मेरे से चल जाएगा.
The illogical entrepreneur.
Yes. And you realize that if I throw this glass from here, it is going to go down. मैं ये ग्लास न्यूयॉर्क ले जाके वहाँ पर अगर 16 माले से फेंकूंगा, it is going to go down. Law of gravity is law of gravity. It works everywhere.
Some things don't change.
Right? I cannot suddenly think that it is going to start flying. Right? However good I may be. But we as entrepreneurs, मजा आता है ना to challenge all of these laws, and then you learn the hard way.
Okay.
That so as in I hope that some of the people who are watching this channel will avoid the mistakes which I have made and just stick either to COCO or do FOFO.
Okay, stick either to COCO and either to FOFO.
Or to FOFO.
So can you explain with an example as to what is the difference between COCO and FOFO? COCO mein, how does the company have an association with the franchise and how
So
is it
COCO
there?
mein there's no franchise. COCO is company owned, company operated.
Okay.
Right? What Starbucks does.
As in it's a branch and not a franchise.
It's a branch and not a franchise.
Okay. Starbucks is company owned, company operated.
Yes.
Again, what is the relationship that this branch has with the company?
It's owned by the company.
Okay, completely, which
Yes.
is the real estate and everything else.
The investment is by the company.
Okay.
Franchising mein basically, so Jumboking has built a brand.
Okay.
Right? We build the systems and the processes and the supply chain, the back end and all of these things. Right? And now a person says, hey, I want to become a part of this business.
Okay.
I don't want to do all this mehnat for 10 years of building supply chain, factory, itna volume build karo. I don't have all of that. Either the patience or the knowledge or the money.
Okay. Sir, so we spoke about FOFO and COCO. Okay. Company owned, company operated. Example is Starbucks. Franchise owned, franchise operated. Example, Jumboking. Everything else that is there in between, they are just a result of experiments, but nothing really concrete. Or they are a subpart of these two categories.
Yes.
In
But the best way to do it is choose either with their mindsets. It's like the government of India deciding कि सारी industry हम चलाएंगे. Or, as in like what China does, or the government of India deciding हम सारा divest कर देंगे and हम वो atmosphere बनाएंगे कि entrepreneur operate कर सके और industry operate कर सके.
Okay, so company owned, company operated is high control over quality. As a result, it might reduce the ability to scale.
It is not higher control over quality.
It is not high control over quality. Then what is the philosophy of COCO and FOFO?
So, not all businesses can be franchised. Like you cannot franchise a fine dine restaurant. My food may be great, but the service element. So this is a very good point that you brought out, because if the service element is high in my form of what I do, it is very difficult to franchise it. While if the service element is lower and it is more of assembly kind of an operations, it is more easily franchised.
Sir, can you give me an example of this service element being higher?
Starbucks, service element is higher. I expect, or Pizza Hut, right, where I go, I place the order, as in the guy comes to the counter, to the table, he takes the order, he says, "Thank you, ma'am, thank you, sir," and then he goes and then he brings out the product after half an hour. Service element is higher, the ambience. I'm expecting to get good service over here.
Sir, but why is that not very easily scalable with FOFO? Why do they choose COCO?
Because जितना human element and human interaction बढ़ता है, उतना it becomes more difficult to maintain the standards at scale.
Sir, but these simple elements like taking the order, placing the order, saying hi, hello, all of that is something that can be scaled using hospitality service, right? Hospitality training, right?
When you have to do it 365 days of the year for the next 50 years, it's more difficult. I'm saying it can be done. Right? Starbucks also has, I think, 25,000 stores worldwide. Right? They are doing well. McDonald's, 42,000 stores worldwide. Largely franchised. Some company owned. Now, I was in Atlanta last year attending a QSR conference, a food service conference. And over there, all brands, see, there is a reason. Okay, so all brands over there, or 9 out of 10 brands which are over there, were franchising.
Okay.
So I wanted to understand, why is this happening? Is that कि उनको capital की कमी है? Or they don't want to put their own money, they want to, employ someone else's money. We did this simulation in Jumboking where my board said, hey, why don't we put up company-owned stores? हम ये franchising चलाते हैं, हम सिर्फ 10% royalty लेते हैं, मलाई तो franchisee ले जाता है. Right? Why don't we put up company-owned stores? And what we realized is that the franchisee, because he gets a lion's share of the profit, 50% margin वो रखता है, right, in the business. And then he, of course, incurs all the costs. But he, being an entrepreneur, has a higher incentive to increase sales. While I have a store manager who is going to get a fixed pay, he may not necessarily have that incentive to get that 500 rupees of extra sale every day. So it all boiled down to, in a franchise, FOFO business, sale is 10% higher and operating cost is 10% lower.
Okay.
And in COCO business, it's reverse. Our sale was 10% lower.
Okay. This is specifically for Jumboking.
For Jumboking.
And
the operating expenses would go up by 10%. Now, why would that happen? Okay. Right? Simple things. Today, at 170 stores, Jumboking head office team is 30 people only.
170
stores.
Okay.
At 500 stores, Jumboking head office team might reach 40 people.
At 500 stores, you will have 40
maximum of 40, say maximum of 50 people. I think it will be at more of 40 people.
So you are saying that Jumboking at its core will only be a 50 people company with 500 stores?
Yes, absolutely.
So you will have only 50 people in your payroll?
That's it.
Wow.
And if they were company-owned stores, at 500 stores, we would have about 2,500 people on the front end, and about 20% of that, 500 people in our head office, trying to handle those 2,500 people. So we would have 3,000 people on our rolls. Right? Now, what we do is, we instead are going to have, say in the 500 stores, we will probably have 300 franchisees. Okay. Right? Who are going to be business owners. Their 4 member teams are their teams, their crew, right? So this, I see this as a huge advantage. I don't want to have 3,000 people on my rolls. I'm happier with 50 people. We will focus on very high-end people in our team who are super specialists in what they do, focused on making the franchisee's life better, adding value to him.
By the look of this, why would anybody choose a COCO model? What is the advantage that COCO model brings to the table?
When there are company-owned stores, so those 500 stores, say they do about 1 crore of sale per year, so that's a 500 crore business. The stock market gives it a 4 to 5 times ka multiple. In the franchise business, of those 500 crores, 500 stores, 1 crore per store, so 500 crores of top line. In our books, we will get only 50 crores.
Which is 10% of it.
Which is 10% of it. So people feel that uska valuation nahi milega.
But the revenue is the same.
Revenue is the same. Our profitability is probably going to be the same. But the stock market, see, till a company which is big on franchising gets listed, we don't know how this is going to pan out. But most of the people don't go down that route. They say, "Boss, turnover is not in our books. So, valuation kaise milega? Valuation nahi milega. Therefore, do company-owned stores." So, they are actually, what they are chasing is valuations. And their investors are chasing valuations.
Can you name a few?
And we've had a lot of these pressures. That's why when people like Ashish Kacholia, they get into Jumboking. Now, he's an investor. So that validates franchising as a business model.
So COCO model brings in the advantage of valuation.
Yes.
That's it.
According to me, that's it.
But FOFO model brings in the advantage of having a smaller team, which means more focus on having more competitive people in the team. Number two, it de-risks the core organization and decentralizes the risks with each franchisee, because each franchisee has a head who's a business owner and has a stake in the game. And number three, it also incentivizes the growth of an individual franchisee to that particular business owner, because of which he will optimize the operations in such a way that instead of acting like an employee, he'll act like an entrepreneur. As a result, contribute to the increase in sales.
And he can put up a second store and a third store and a fourth store, and therefore build a sizable business for himself.
Oh, wow. This is very interesting.
And we can grow much faster because I can simultaneously put up stores in 100 cities because they're all 100 different franchisees, 100 business. Of course, we have to go a little slower because of supply chain constraints, but technically we can go much faster.
So what are the supply chain constraints that you have when it comes to increasing the number of stores?
Because we are using the frozen, the -18 route, which is a very expensive supply chain to be running. So that has to be optimized. We need to get into cities and create clusters of stores over there. Each city should have a minimum of 5 to 6 stores.
And how do you make sure of that?
By putting up 5 to 6 stores in each city. And therefore we go to fewer cities. Today, Jumboking is present only in Bombay, Delhi and Hyderabad.
Only 3 cities?
Only 3 cities. In fact, for us, the top 4 cities, Bombay, Delhi, Hyderabad, Bangalore, is a market of 500 stores.
Oh, so now you are in 3 cities?
3 cities.
And you're about to get into Bangalore?
We're getting into Bangalore.
Okay, which means huge opportunities in Bangalore. Okay, what is this -18 supply chain, sir?
So -18 is, the patty is frozen using a very, very expensive technology to -18 at the factory.
At the factory.
And then RKFL carries that material in refrigerated vehicles, which are at -18. It stores it into the DC, which is at -18. From there, it again does the picking and puts it back into a vehicle, which is at -18, which comes to the store where there is a deep freezer, which is at -18. And from there, the patty is straight away put from the freezer to the fryer. From -18 to a fryer, which is at 180 degrees. So the purity of the product, because food gets spoiled very fast, while the freezing is happening the moment it gets made in the factories. This is actually fresher than even your homemade food, which if you try to consume it after 4 hours.
Sir, do you add preservatives?
Zero.
Zero preservatives?
Zero preservatives.
And
that's why the technology that we use is so expensive.
Oh.
We could have added preservatives and made it cheaper.
Okay, this is called -18 what?
It's called the frozen supply chain.
Frozen supply chain.
Now this requires huge volumes. A lot of the startups, they struggle. Because if I get to the -18, it's so expensive that वो पहले 10 store पे मैं apply ही नहीं कर.
Any threshold volume that you would like to define?
It keeps changing. But you can use that benchmark of 0 to 10, 10 to 100. So 0 to 10 tons, 10 to 100 tons.
Oh, 0 to 10 tons.
हाँ, वो you can use it. 0 to 10 stores to 100 stores to 1000 stores, or 10 crores to 100 crores to 1000 crores, or 10 tons to 100 tons.
So FOFO में limitation of supply chain फिलहाल you are facing, but eventually you can get rid
Which
of
will
it.
be there for Coco also.
Which will be there for Coco also. So when it comes to the FOFO model, which is franchise owned, franchise operated model, you have a smaller team, you have more competitive team, you're able to focus. As a result, you're able to grow faster, as well as the business owner has the incentive to grow faster, and that person also contributes to more sale as well as insights.
Correct.
Which is to the
Absolutely.
company. So now when it comes to the FOFO model, franchise owned, franchise operated model, what is it that the company gives them and what is it the franchise brings to the table?
So I have written an entire book. It's called the 10x Advantages of Franchising. It's available on Amazon, where I have put down the 10 things that as a franchisor we bring to the table. So in that book, it's very interestingly, I've listed down where someone wants to start a restaurant business and he's talking to his cousin and they are contemplating कि यार खुद का चालू करते हैं, franchising नहीं कर लेना है, because franchising करेंगे तो उनका मेन्यू फॉलो करना पड़ेगा, उनकी प्राइसिंग फॉलो करनी पड़ेगी, वो आके ऑडिट करेंगे, हमको हमारे बिजनेस का मालिक बनना है, सो खुद का बिजनेस करते हैं. सो चैप्टर बाय चैप्टर all I am asking questions and then answering them, so that a new person, before he makes the mistake of having invested 30 lakhs and realize, oh my God, I should have taken a franchise. It's like just read the book. And by the end of it, you will at least you would have understood the food business completely. So what we bring to the table as a franchisor is, first is the supply chain, which is the products. Aapko bread, patty, sauces, everything is supplied at your doorstep. Convenience in operations is provided, and we benchmark with each of these products, or on the whole basket of products, the franchisee should save between 15 to 20% on his purchase price.
What does this mean, sir?
If he were to buy it directly, he would have spent 15 to 20% higher.
Oh, and you are able to sell it to him at
Lower,
a much
because we are going with this large volume. So हम जो 10% franchise fee charge करते हैं, we say boss हम तो वहीं पर value add कर देते हैं. Just by buying from us, you're already advantaged by 15 to 20% compared to the next door guy.
Sir, I'll explain this using an example and you can correct me if I'm wrong over here. So if there is an independent company which wants to order
Independent store.
Independent store, which is not a Jumboking store, if they want to order bread, patty and sauce, if they have to spend 1 lakh rupees on their raw material, if they are a Jumboking franchise, because Jumboking orders products at scale, they will get the same products, the same quantity, perhaps even better quality at 75,000 rupees.
If he were to buy it directly, it would cost him between 4.6 to 4.8 lakhs to buy the same material. But because he buys from the Jumboking centralized purchase mechanism, he gets it for 4 lakhs. Plus the quality, मतलब वो सब आप डालेंगे तो the multipliers are much bigger. Okay. It's like we have the pasta patty, which is not available in the market, because Vista makes it only for us, because only we carry that 10 tons a month of order for that patty. As an individual, I cannot go and place an order for 10 tons of the patty.
Perfect, understood. So the company provides them with the inventory of the highest quality at the lowest price possible.
Correct. Like Coke, we have a special deal with Coke on the prices that Coke will supply to all Jumboking franchisees, because they are a part of the network, which an individual will not get.
Sir, how much is the cost price of Coke for an individual versus for Jumboking?
The differential is between this 15 to 20%.
15 to 20%.
Yeah.
Okay.
So our supply chain is constantly looking at how we can add such massive value to the franchisees. And that's why a lot of our franchisees are at their first store. अब सब सीख गए हैं, but they put up a second store with us, a third store with us, a fourth store with us, because they understand that why would I not continue taking advantage of this system, which keeps on growing bigger and bigger every year. So I become stronger and stronger because they are purchasing better and better.
Very interesting. So as you achieve more scale, this 4 lakhs might come down even further also.
Possible. But maybe this may not come down, but दूसरे का cost will go up to 5 lakhs and 5.5 lakhs, the individual store, because his purchasing power is not growing.
The first thing that Jumboking brings to the table is inventory. Anything else, sir?
So the second big one is marketing.
Marketing.
So of the 10% franchise fee that we charge, we spend 4% on marketing. So today our marketing budget for Mumbai city alone is in excess of 3 crores a year. Now when we play audio ads in Mumbai Metro, the line which runs between Versova to Ghatkopar, right? Now that costs a lot of money. So, but when the customers, when the travelers are listening to that ad, some of them will go and eat at the Versova metro station store, some at Andheri, depending on where they are getting off. Some at Sakinaka, some at Ghatkopar. As an individual store, मेरा तो ad budget तो साल का 10 लाख भी नहीं रहेगा.
Correct. महीने का नहीं रहेगा sir. Oh.
साल का, हाँ, it
साल का
won't
10
be
लाख
that
रहेगा.
much,
Correct.
right? So, but because we have this collective ad budget, so we advertise. So वो ad देख के वाशी का कस्टमर वाशी जाके खरीदता है, चर्च गेट का कस्टमर चर्च गेट पे खरीदता है, right? बोरेवली का कस्टमर goes to बोरेवली and buys. So that is how the system adds a lot of value to the franchisees.
So as a business owner, you don't have to worry about inventory or inventory cost. You don't have to worry about marketing. What else does the Jumbo King bring to the table, sir?
The third thing is the entire IT infrastructure, which is the POS system, the ordering of the material, the Zomato Swiggy integration for online business, the loyalty program that is run. So another thing that we provide, like there are digital menu boards at the stores, right? So we are able to run offers, we are able to update the prices. There's very nice animation, the way the menu is shown, right? These are all huge value adds, which is what make the store looks very modern, right? And customers, they are aspirational. They want to go to the best looking store. And so all these small elements are what make, actually help premiumize the products. People end up ordering more of combos or end up buying more of the premium burgers. Perfect. Because the experience becomes better. So this was on the IT department.
Okay. Anything else, sir?
Then a very, very big part of the value add is the training and the audits department. It's huge. So we have something called the Jumboking University, JK University. All our videos, training videos are in, the training content is in video format. Okay. So a franchisee gets trained in how to run the store, and there is attrition. People leave and go at his store. The new guy coming in, he has to show him the video on this is how you make the crispy veg burger. This is how you make the cheese burst burger. This is how you make the paneer burger. They see the video because reading is boring, right? If he tries to make the product, he may come up his version of it. So the trainer is actually able to centrally control the instruction that goes out in video format. They see the video, they said, okay, this is how the sauce has to be put. This is how the lettuce, this is how the onions have to go in. So the training becomes super standardized. And that is where we also keep on adding a lot of training material. How to improve service, what is customer service, what is hygiene. So franchisees can use all of that central repository to train their staff to make them better.
Sir, how do you do QC then? How do you do quality check?
Great. So then, so the training and then audits. So through audits, there is, every store has to get audited at least once a month.
Once a month.
Once
but
a
sir,
month.
my question is, let's say you taught somebody, you asked somebody to watch the video. Correct. Okay. You told them, ki, this is a paneer Shezwan burger. You got to put in paneer, you got to put in Shezwan and stuff like that. But then let's say this guy puts a little less Shezwan. Then how will you QC that? Because by the time you figure it out, you can't audit every single burger. And like you said that day, namak kam ho gaya. So if salt is less, or let's say Shezwan is less for 1,000 burgers sold that day, by the time you realize that, it's going to be a disaster. Or if the customer finds out something major, this is still minor. If the customer finds out something major, then it will be a disaster. So when you do quality check only once a month, how do you ensure that every burger that's going out is well prepared?
So this is why the burger business is actually the most scalable business. Okay. Because the bread comes standardized from the factory. You can't break it into two. The patty is standardized, right? It cannot be broken into two. Your onions, lettuce and sauces, these are the three things which he's told ke 20 gram डालना है, वो शायद 15 gram डालेगा या 25 gram डाल देगा. Now this you have to live with. Vis-a-vis if I was in the pizza business, where I have to make the entire thing over there, right? A 10-inch pizza. How do you know whether it is 10 inches or 9 inches or 11 inches? So this is a part of the food business. If you want it fresh, there will be this plus minus 10%. वो तो आप कोई Michelin star restaurant में भी चले जाओ, वहाँ पर भी there will be a little bit of variation which is going to come.
Okay, so here there's a scope of error, but maximum scope of errors have been eliminated.
Yeah, it's very minimal. As in, see, if the staff is good, why would he want to spoil the product?
Okay, so you're saying that when it comes to quality check, there are certain elements like olives and onions and stuff like that where you cannot obsess over quality check. You will never get a standard output because there's a slight margin of error. But when it comes to the customers, they will point it out, and that is enough for you to rectify that error. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you also mentioned that the business owner is more careful about the business when he has skin in the game. So is this also an advantage that FOFO brings to the table? Because if the business owner sees that his customer is complaining, there are two ways in which he can react. If he is an employee, he will just say, okay, I will follow my procedure, register the complaint, raise a ticket, and then send it to the company. But the way the business owner is going to operate is that he's going to say that because of this complaint, this customer is going to go away, A. B, my revenues will be impacted. And C, for the Jumboking brand, this customer might not be a big deal, but for me, this is a very big deal because 50% of the revenue is going to come to me. So, is this also one of the advantages that FOFO brings to the table?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Huge.
Cool.
And that is, which brings us to the point, therefore, we have actually distilled our business to, we have had a lot of failures in Jumboking, stores which did not work, and a lot of them which are doing extremely well. So we got into trying to understand why did this one fail and why did this one do well. So निचोड़ उसमें से after lots of study was that we can go wrong only in two things in the business. One is we picked up the wrong real estate.
Wrong location.
The wrong location. So our largest team is our real estate team. We don't let the franchisee choose the real estate. We do that part.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That is pretty good, sir. So this is also one of the value adds that you bring to the table, which is the choice of
I was
location.
going to come. Yeah, correct. Okay. So that is one mistake was we have to eliminate that. फिर भी आज हम जो 10 location pick up करते हैं उसमें से 2 गलत जाती हैं. Even after so many years of experience, but our idea is to minimize these mistakes. I know of so many individual restaurants owners, QSR people serving great product, obsessing over quality, but उसकी location गलत है. And I'm like, यार ये यहाँ बैठ के business कर रहा है. If he was just at the right location, he would have done twice the business. But वो समझ नहीं है about location. So we add that value to the franchisee. So one location we can go wrong with, or we selected the wrong franchisee. So for us, one of the primary conditions is no loans on the first store.
No loans.
Yeah, so the 25-30 lakhs का जो investment है, you have to have that full investment ready and available.
Okay, sir, I want to go back to what the franchise now brings to the table because that will give me a much better idea about this. Okay, so you bring in location scouting, inventory, marketing, IT, and training.
And then we have something, so the entire projects team gives the design. Like just designing of the store is such an important skill on how the workflow is going to be, where the equipment is going to be kept. How do we optimize? Because each store is different. How do you optimize storage? Which should be the customer facing side, right? Signage, how it should be put. How can we make the store stand out the most, right? So all of these things are provided free. I remember when I had put up my first store, a good consultant was charging me 5 lakh rupees for a 200 square feet store to design it and make it look nice. We provide all of these things
for free.
And then all the equipments are negotiated by the projects team. So my fryer, my POS machine, my deep freezers, everything. And we get super discounted rates because like last year we have bought 60 softy machines. So when we go and negotiate with the guy, he says, oh, this year also they're going to buy 60 softy machines. So our franchisees always get a special rate. And as a company, one of the golden principles of franchising is don't keep margins on all of these things. So we don't keep any margins for ourselves on the purchase of equipment. We don't keep any margins for ourselves on the supply of the raw material.
So just to make it simpler for our viewers, you say that you don't keep margins. Now, I'll again explain what I understood from this and then you can correct me if I'm wrong. There is a softy machine seller, there is Jumboking, and there is the franchise owner.
Yes.
Let's say the softy machine costs 60,000 rupees. Now, if Jumboking were to keep certain margins, Jumbo King will sell the softie machine for 70,000 rupees to the franchise owner and keep 10,000 rupees to itself,
Correct.
which will contribute to its revenue.
Correct.
But Jumbo King does not do this. What they do is, if the softie machine is bought at 60,000 rupees, they will sell it to the franchise at 60,000 rupees only, so that the franchise owner is not burdened. Is that correct?
The only difference is the franchisee places the order directly with the softie machine guy. It does not go through Jumbo King.
Oh, so you are just the person who connects them but does not.
We just decide that this guy, his quality and his machines are good. We are going to buy from him. He's a company approved vendor. Okay. And then everyone who becomes a franchisee is told you have to buy the softie from this guy.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it's an open, transparent thing. If a franchisee comes and says, sir, I know of a softie guy who sells it cheaper or better quality, we say, chalo, let's go and meet him. So we are on the same side. So the trust is, for us, is very, very important.
Perfect. So again, I'll summarize this. Location, inventory, marketing, IT, training, designing of the store, and equipments, along with scale, which provides you discount on all of these things. Great. Is that it, sir?
Yes. And for this, all of this, we charge 6 plus 4%. 6% is what we retain. 4% is the marketing, which all of it gets spent on marketing. So 6% में काफी value add है to the franchisee.
ठीक है. Now let's come to what the franchise has to put in. How much money does the franchise have to put in?
So each store is an investment of about 25 to 30 lakhs. The variables are, if my store rent is higher, so my deposit becomes higher. Or if my store is larger, then my interior cost goes up a little bit.
Okay, sir, can you help me break this down? 25 to 30 lakhs is?
The total project's cost, which includes the cost of putting up the store, which includes the deposit to be paid to the landlord, which is normally 6 months of deposit. So say if the rent of the store is 1 lakh rupees a month, deposit will be 6 lakhs. If the rent of the store is 50,000, deposit is 3 lakhs.
Deposit.
One guy has paid 3 lakhs extra deposit. It includes the one-time sign-up fee which we charge, which is 4 lakh rupees, including GST. This money we keep with us as the company. Then the third cost is the equipment cost, right, which is about between 8 to 10 lakhs. The store interior cost, which is the tiling and as in the civil work, the plumbing work, the electrical work, all of those things, which is another 8 to 10 lakhs.
That's it?
Yeah, so this contributes the 25 to 30 lakhs that the franchisee invests.
Okay, so deposit to the landlord, sign-up fees, equipment and interior. Only sign-up fee comes to you.
Correct.
What else, sir? Anything else that the store owner needs to bring to the table?
So, of course, his time. We want to work only with owner-operators.
What do you mean by that, sir?
The franchisee has to be involved in the business. He has to give his 8 to 10 hours to the business.
Okay, so if I am sitting in Mumbai and I just want to invest in a Jumbo King franchise, I can't.
No, you can, but you would ideally not get a Jumbo King franchise. आपको किसी और की franchise मिल जाएगी. So we always tell people that if you're coming in it, come full time. This is not a passive business. Otherwise I would have done it. No, we don't need you for the money. The company has no dearth of capital, right? We can very easily invest that 25-30 lakhs per store. But we are saying the store manager is not motivated enough. Or rather, let me say the franchisee is more motivated to run the store well, increase sales, reduce cost. Therefore, the profitability of the store is higher.
Oh, so that person is basically an entrepreneur.
He's an entrepreneur. We want full-time entrepreneurs. Most of the people who come to us for taking up a franchise one is he says, I don't want to take up a job. और job मिल भी गई तो मुझे लाख रुपए का salary नहीं मिलेगा. But if I run a Jumbo King store, I can make that 1.5 lakh rupees a month out of running the store.
And also open multiple stores.
Correct. So वो बात की बात. As in first is I can make this kind of money. Second, or I don't want to join my family business. Or my family business may be going down. I may be running, a kirana store kind of a business or a photo lab kind of business, which in the past used to do well, but now it is coming down. Or as retail becomes more and more organized, right? All businesses, all mom and pop stores are feeling the competition of organized retail. There are a lot of people who are running individual restaurants. Inflation is high. They say, boss, मैं Jumbo King का franchise बन जाऊँ. For me, I will make more money. rather than trying to run it myself.
Very interesting. So, can you tell me what are the 3 attributes that you check? What is the selection process of these owner operators?
One, you should have the entire investment ready. No bank loans on the first store. On your second store, you have already tasted success. That's why you'll put up the second store. You can think of a bank loan then. Second, full-time operators. You cannot invest money and say मैं manager रख रहा हूँ and मैं शाम में 1 घंटा आके देख लूँगा. Third is he should have some work experience.
Business specifically, not a job.
Yes, not a job.
But sir, if this guy comes up and says that I want to leave my job and then I want to start a Jumboking franchise, then?
What we've seen is a person who is doing a job now is got used to regular income. And being a business owner, basically, it is a risk. Even if he's taking a Jumboking franchise, his chances of success are at 80%, not at 100%. Or, because I have had a lot of people, right? People from the IT sector making a lot of money, saying, "Ki bas ab bahut ho gaya. I don't want to work for anyone else. I want to run my own business." And then they realize that I used to get regular income whether the market was up or down, whether there was COVID or no COVID. When I run my own business, I'm running all of these risks, right? If business is down, for some reason, Navratre aa gaye, sales are down, right? That month is tough for me, but I have to pay the salaries. Second is then they realize, oh, company medical bhi bharti thi. Now I have to pay my own medical. Oh, company transportation ka paisa bhi deti thi. Now I have to pay for my own transportation. Oh, every year I was, agar 10% increment milta tha, I would resign and go to another place where I'd get a 20% increment. When I'm running a business, there is no guaranteed 10% increment every year. I have to work very hard on getting that increment. So such people, they're always looking, behind their shoulders. That if I was there, I would have earned so much. Oh, or my colleagues have gone up and they have reached these positions, right? While people like me, right? कभी हम campus placement में बैठे ही नहीं, business ही करना था.
Same, sir.
So there was no other option but to get into business and succeed in that.
Correct.
So we said, do that, do damn well with your first store, and then put a second one, a third one. We are providing scale, right? You can actually get to 5-6 stores making 1 crore a year out of the Jumboking business. That is the vision with which we want people to come in.
Okay. So 25 to 30 lakhs investment, which needs to be done in full without any debt. Secondly, the person needs to come in full time. And thirdly, this person needs to have work
He should have
experience.
some work experience. He should understand there is risk. There is no guarantee over here.
And it is preferred that he must have run a business.
He should have, because he knows how difficult it is. Then what happens is he values what Jumboking brings to the table. If he's not run a business, he takes everything for granted. Isme kya baat hai? Isme kya baat hai? So I have seen people who, one guy who used to run a restaurant business, he came one day and said, "Sir, आपसे बात करनी है." I said, "हाँ बोलो." Sir, कल मेरा स्टोर ना आधा घंटा लेट शुरू हुआ सुबह, and people were like knocking on the shutter कि भाई open करो. Why are you late? I have to quickly pick up my burger and go to work or go to college. He says, "Sir, when I used to run my own restaurant, I used to be waiting till 12 o'clock for the first customer to come in."
Damn.
Now this thing for him was very valuable. That is the brand which is getting in so many customers at 8 a.m. and 12 p.m. and 4 p.m. So we also, because we do a lot of menu additions also. So the franchisee gets all the new product ideas and all of those things for free.
Without the need to do R&D.
Without the need to do R&D. And we have a very strong R&D team. They are super equipped to, do the, what is the new flavor going on? What is the Gen Z, eating nowadays, right? International markets mein kya ho raha hai? What new flavor we can add? So our new product development team is a very, very important team, which is continuously working to increase the sales of the. So, it becomes a win-win situation. Our factory gets more products to make, franchisee gets more product to sell, we get that higher royalty. So we are all aligned and pulling in the same direction.
Very interesting. Sir, and what is the monthly expense that a store incurs?
So rent, if it's 1 lakh, it's 1 lakh. Okay. And the operating expenses other than that, salaries and electricity bill is to the tune of between 1 to 1.5 lakhs.
Let's take an average store sales.
Food cost is about 40%.
40%, which is the variable cost.
Yes. So if I'm doing 10 lakhs of sale, it is 4 lakhs. If I'm doing 20 lakhs of sale, it is 8 lakhs.
Oh, so your contributing margin is 60%.
Yes. No, and then he pays us a 10% royalty. So which plus GST वगैरह मिला के goes to 50. So his margin is about 48%.
So this 10% is 10% of 60% or 10% of revenue?
100%.
10% of revenue.
Of which we retain 6% and spend 4% in marketing. So effectively, the franchisee gets all of these services for 6%.
Oh, okay. 50% is the contributing margin of the franchise owner.
About 48%.
48%. Sir, I'm so sorry. मेरे को ये मैथ समझ में नहीं आया है. ये 100% हो गया.
Correct.
100% में से 40% उसका cost of operation हो गया.
Cost of food.
Cost of food हो गया. Sorry.
12% royalty. 10 plus GST मिला के 11.8.
Oh, अच्छा. Okay, now I got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So 100% revenue में से we have 40% is the cost of food. 12% is royalty.
Make it 10 plus.
10 plus 2%, which is 10% is the royalty and 2% is the GST factor. And then the contributing
48%
margin
is his gross margin.
48%.
Of which he spends between 30 to 35% towards his rent and operating costs. Depends on which city you are in. Mumbai
Okay.
is different, Delhi is different, Pune is different. And the rents are also therefore different.
Okay.
So we normally say आपका जो rent है should be between 3 to 5 days of sale.
Okay.
So if my rent is a lakh, my sale should be between 20,000 to 30,000
20,000 to 30,000 per day.
per day. Then I have my equation is going to fall in place.
So 30,000 per day into 30 comes to 9 lakhs
Correct.
a month.
A month.
Into 12 is
1 crore 8 lakhs a year.
1 crore 8 lakhs. Okay. So now can you tell me, when it comes to the franchise owner, and recently there was a big controversy about franchise. There's a brand that had just distributed a lot of franchises, and then these franchise owners, they were extremely fed up because they felt like they've been cheated upon and so on and so forth. And since then, especially when it comes to my generation, franchise is considered to be a negative thing. It's looked at from a negative standpoint. And that is because they feel that there are certain brands in the market, and I've seen certain brands like these, where they solely make money out of the sale of the franchise. For example, I think...
Like the 4 lakhs that we charge.
Correct. Like the sign-up cost.
So if I sell 100 franchises a year, that's 4 crores.
4 crores.
Easy money.
200 कर दो तो 8 crore हो गया.
Correct.
Okay, that's a lot of money. Okay, after that, the biggest complaint that people have from this model is that after the brand sells you the franchise, the brand does not deliver enough service to the franchise to make the business sustainable. So can you point out, if a franchise owner is going for a particular franchise, what are the red flags that he or she must spot in order to avoid taking the franchise from a particular bad player?
See, this is one of the FAQs that I am asked or that I tell people. If you go and ask the company, they are all going to say good things about that, right? But you should go to the company, understand everything. Then you should go to an existing franchisee.
Okay.
Not one, go to at least 2, 3 and ask them what their experience is.
Okay.
Right? That is the taste of the pudding lies in the eating, right? वो जो बोल रहा है is the truth.
Okay, so if you go to a particular franchise, let's say you go to a jockey franchise, what are the questions that you would ask a jockey franchise?
Simple. कितना इन्वेस्टमेंट है? कंपनी बोल रही है 50 लाख लगेगा, आपका कितना लगा? कंपनी बोल रही है इतना इनकम आएगा, आपका कितना आता है? थर्ड, कंपनी का सपोर्ट है या नहीं? So support is something which will be there. Like I'm sure that all of us, even if you're buying a Mercedes car, right, or a Santro, service kaisa hai? It is good on most of the time. Sometimes you may get bad service. If I take an Uber, right, or I order on Zomato, Swiggy, most of the times I'll get good service. Sometimes it may be bad. So what is a constant thing which varies, but mostly whether the franchisees are meeting the financial promises which the company had made.
What are these financial promises, sir?
Which the company would have made to him when they would have gone to meet the company, right? That your investment will be so much, like we are saying 25 to 30 lakhs, and you'll make that between 1 to 1.5 lakhs a month.
But you still said that, sir, there are still 2 or 3 stores which fail. How do you handle that? 20% now as a franchise owner or as a future business owner, again, here if there's a business owner, he would understand that there is risk involved in this. Now, when this franchise fails, and I've seen this because a lot of people are delusional, that they will never understand why the franchise failed. Is that because of the market force? Was it because of the company or was it because of them? So like you said, there are two things that could go wrong. Real estate and
Franchise.
The
not,
business owner.
Not giving the time that the store needs.
correct. Now, in both these cases, these cannot be controlled by Jumboking. At max, you can make sure that
They
there is
can
a
be controlled.
Okay, but you said that when it comes to real estate also, in spite of having so much experience, there is a possibility that it might go wrong.
Correct.
So beyond a certain point, we do not have control. We can only increase the probability of success, but not guarantee 100% success. Similarly, when it comes to the business owner, you can choose the right business owner, but just because you choose the right business owner according to you, doesn't mean that that business owner will for sure be successful. So there are two variables that we already have which could go wrong.
Correct. There are only two.
There are only two.
So we realized that we took up a store and we projected say 30,000 of sale over there and नहीं हो रहा है, सिर्फ 12,000 हो रहा है. Right? So what we do is normally we watch and observe for the first 3 months to see, some stores take a little bit of time to get traction. After that, we put our franchisee on a royalty waiver. We say that, ठीक है, you're not making money. Sale we had projected 30,000 आएगा, नहीं आ रहा है. Right? You are spending the time that you are supposed to. No complaints on that. SOPs are being met. Store operations are as per what they should be. So we then come in and lessen his burden by giving him a royalty waiver. And then we have these 2 or 3 promotions which we have kind of mastered over the past years. कि ये promotion चलाते हैं. Probably if we have a lot of trials happening at the store, product is good, लोग trial करने नहीं आ रहे हैं, let's generate trials. In a new market. And then we've seen a lot of stores, they build up. Over 3 months, 6 months, people come in and वो store create हो जाता है.
So what do? You give out free burgers.
नहीं, there are different promotions.
Okay.
Sometimes you run a BOGO offer on a Friday.
What is that, sir?
Buy one, get one free. On a Friday, on a certain day of the week.
Sir, ये 3 promotion में let's go a little deeper. Okay. What is the first and the most popular promotion of all?
See, that's what, these are all so subjective. Every market is different. I cannot run a BOGO offer on a metro station because if I run it, say, for the Sakinaka store, I will have to run it for the Andheri store also. Because otherwise that franchisee will say, sir, आप Sakinaka पे BOGO चला रहे हो, मेरा अंधेरी का sale गिर गया. But if that same store is in an isolated place like Thakur village in Kandivali, right? वहाँ का customer is not going to go to the मतलब वो metro line में नहीं है. So the stores are not connected. So there we can run a BOGO offer. So ये बहुत subjective चीज है. But because of so many years of experience, we know कि ठीक है इस market में इस तरह का promotion चला के देखते हैं.
Okay, so one is buy one get one. Any other strategies?
So we have a loyalty program.
Okay.
Right? So we are contemplating, we've not done this as yet, but we'll run a referral program with that. Okay, you refer customers, you'll get a 10% off. The guy who's you refer to will get a 10% off. So we want to create these raving fans where some of the people are giving out a lot of referrals. Okay, hey, go and try it at Jumboking.
Any other thing that you've used in order to turn a failing franchise into
Normally, a royalty waiver and just giving it time. एक साल में वो store ठीक हो जाता है. Because it's a proven thing, right? The product is there, stores are there. It's not a new thing. This generally happens sometimes in newer markets. So, however, we know that real estate is not proper. Sometimes you also go and renegotiate rents with the property owners. Say that, sir, let us give this store a 6-month rent थोड़ा सा reduce करते हैं. आपका भी फायदा होगा, उनका भी फायदा होगा. Let's make it a win-win thing. Right? I think being genuine and clear is the most important thing. Don't go too fast to meet your store numbers and therefore not do the property part well or give the incorrect rent. So after we watch this way for about 15 months. Okay. If the store is still not working, we admit that, okay, real estate is not working, our mistake, let's relocate this store. Because we always have a property bank. We are speaking with a lot of other people. Now, relocating the store means he does not have to pay us the franchise fee again. Equipments can be transferred, deposit will come back to him, but his interior cost of 8 lakhs is sunk cost. So over there we participate with him. We say, okay, the next store that you put up, you'll have to invest 8 lakhs again, but we are putting you on a 1-year full royalty waiver.
So this way you're minimizing the risk of the business owner by a large extent. This is very interesting, sir.
It is just showing commitment कि बस real estate हमने दिखाया था, वो नहीं चला है. So we are taking up ownership on that. उसको एक बार invest करना पड़ेगा that 8 lakhs, right? Which we don't say that we will put in the money, but we are saying that boss, we will compensate by not charging you royalty at your new location for 1 year.
So the 6% royalty, if I were to calculate,
The full 10% waiver. we
yeah, so 10% waiver, if a store does, let's say 9 lakhs in sales per month, that's 90,000 rupees per month, and
साल का
that's
11 लाख हो गया, 10.8 lakhs.
which is perhaps more
Yeah.
than the money that he's to put in for.
But because we don't know at the next store whether he'll do 9 lakhs or 15 lakhs or 6 lakhs, that will also vary.
Makes sense, sir. Makes sense. Perfect.
So this is how we mitigate the first risk. Second is the franchisee is not paying attention. Then so audits होते हैं, वो continuously fail हो रहा है. We tell him कि boss, आपका store यहाँ पर आप 20,000 का sale कर रहे हो, actually potential 30,000 का है.
But how do you figure that out, sir? How do you figure out if a store owner is giving enough time to the business or not?
We know he's not there. His staff is not trained.
But how do you figure that out?
So it's like saying if a person walks into this room and you can make out कि he is slightly overweight, you know कि ये exercise नहीं करता है या eating habits गड़बड़ है. You can make out. Right? For me, standing across the store, as in across the road from a store, within 15 minutes मुझे पता चल जाएगा यहाँ पर क्या हो रहा है.
Okay, so you go on regular checks.
I go, the team, we have a very nice team now. They are very, very well equipped to go and understand these things, because the store has to present a P&L at the end of every month. We counsel them at the end of every month on what they can do better. Cost कहाँ ज़्यादा आ रहा है, food cost किधर ज़्यादा है, how they need to optimize, operating cost कहाँ पर कम कर सकते हैं. So all of these stores where the guy is an absentee owner, he does not know his P&L. He will ask his manager, अरे ये क्यों ज़्यादा था, अरे हाँ ये cost क्यों आया है, वो पता चल जाता है that this guy is not paying attention. And so we have now put in a process in place where an absentee owner, even if he's there in the system, we try to then probably mentor him out. Okay, sir, you're not making the money you should. Why don't you give it to someone else? And sell it to someone else. Aap exit le lo, let a more committed franchisee come in. Some of them agree. Some of them say that nahi, theek hai na, chal raha hai. We don't force them out, but we don't let them put up a second store, which becomes a disincentive for him because he can't grow within the system. So he's like, यार एक store के लिए मजा नहीं आ रहा. He said that, sir, second store चाहिए, आप पहला store तो please you have to run it properly. Now this requires a lot of discipline.
You can't
Most of
scale
the
fast.
people don't, yes, because they don't have the patience. कि यार इतना सारा कौन करेगा, फ्रेंचाइजी स्टोर डाल रहा है, डालने तो लेट अस एक बार 500 स्टोर पहुंच जाते हैं, वैल्यूएशन बढ़ा लेते हैं, उसके बाद में फिर करेक्शन कर लेंगे.
Sir, now I want to understand, how do you pick real estate? Because I've been talking to a lot of founders about how they choose the store. Because sir, 3 years back, I said let's invest in a commercial space. And when I went and looked at the cost, not in Mumbai, in Pune, the cost was staggering. And then I realized that there are certain stores in malls where you have to pay 40 lakh rupees per month for a big store here in Mumbai, which is like an exorbitant cost. And then I was thinking, if this is such an exorbitant cost, plus your deposit is also there, which means you're taking a very big risk. And this guy is selling something as random as luxury t-shirts. Now I know that it's luxury t-shirts, but it's still t-shirts. So the one thing that I always had in mind is, how do you make sure that you take such a high stake decision in a very low risk calculated manner?
So I think that is one skill that comes only with practice. It is only Tendulkar will know कौन से बॉल को बाहर निकल के swing करना है, right? कौन से पे I have to stay back and just defend it. It will also depend on the match situation, where I can go safe, where I have to increase the run rate. I'm just giving an example. So ये जो skill है, वो only with time acquire होती है. And I think this is the single biggest value add that we bring to the franchisee. Because Jumboking is doing the real estate picking, right? So we are putting our neck on the line, because if it goes wrong, he can turn around and tell us, boss, you don't know what you're doing. You said 30,000 karega, 12,000 kar raha hai. Right? A lot of people play safe franchise, or they say, sir, real estate aap le aao. Which I think is a mistake, because the franchisee will pick up the cheapest rent. Correct. Right? And rent to profit has a correlation. So we say, जितना आप rent भरते हो ना, आप normally उतना ही profit बनाओगे. आपका investment same रहता है. Yes. So I will invest the same 25 to 30 lakhs. My rent is 50,000. Chances are I'll make 50,000. If my rent is 2 lakhs, I'm going to make 2 lakhs for the same money invested. So Jumboking has some of the best real estate in Mumbai city for a 200 square feet location, and we pay like huge rents.
Sir, I was speaking to Anubhav Dubey and he told me about an important risk that the company needs to take into consideration. So when he negotiated rents with the landlord, they signed a 11-month agreement. Is that the same for Jumboking?
No, we do 5 years.
5
months
years
is too small.
Yeah, so the
It is
risk that
5
he
plus
faced,
5, 10 years in our case.
Oh, so the risk that he faced was that after 11 months, Chai Sutta Bar got in a lot of traffic. And because of that, the revenue of the other stores also picked up. So the landlord saw that as a leverage and he started increasing the rent of the entire floor and started exorbitantly increasing the rent of the franchise. And because of that, the teams had to struggle to negotiate with the landlord. And eventually they understood that chai is a high footfall thing. That's actually an advantage. But here it is playing to the disadvantage because now they're giving the leverage to the landlord. So is that also one of your recommendations, to sign a long-term contract of 5 years? Because when I asked him, why don't you sign long-term? He said that that's a very big commitment, because if you break the agreement, then there are consequences. So when you sign up a 5-year agreement, and let's say, and since you said that 20% of the times you get your real estate wrong, then you lose out on a lot of money, or how's it?
As a brand, you have to be confident about what you're doing. Okay. So if you cannot take a 5-year, so we say was 5-year, हम किसी का पैसा invest करवा रहे हैं, we have to be confident that it will be at least for 5 years, because he's investing money. He has to get that back and make a very handsome profit on the investment, right? If I invested 25 lakhs at the end of the year, 5 years, I don't want 25 lakhs back, right? I would like at least 5 times that money which I should have earned back. Correct. Right? That's why I'm making the investment. So another soft value add that we do for the franchisees is we have negotiated over hundreds of properties, right? So the property agreement draft that we now have, right, that protects the franchisee from a lot of the clauses which the property owner may put in, where as an individual franchisee वो नहीं negotiate कर पाता. But we as Jumboking go and negotiate, and we say that was नहीं, ये ऐसा रहेगा, deposit इतना ही रहेगा, this cost you will bear, this cost the franchisee will bear.
Can you give me one example, sir? One example of a clause that you get removed usually?
So, no, like the 5-year lock-in and a 5-year extension post that.
Okay. But what if the store fails after 1 year?
There is an exit clause after 1 year.
What is that exit clause?
If the store fails after 1 year, as in our lock-in, हमारा franchisee का lock-in 1 year का ही रहता है. Property owner का lock-in 5 years का रहता है. A lot of people don't agree to this. Property owners. Okay. They say, why आपका सिर्फ 1 साल, हमारा 5 years. हमारा 5 years है, आप भी 5 years रखो. We say that no boss, my franchisee is investing 30 lakhs. आप invest कुछ नहीं कर रहे हो. So if it is not working, I will make him relocate. Your property will remain yours. So we are taking the financial risk. My franchisee is taking the financial risk. So we will have a 1-year lock-in. But आपका lock-in 5 years का रहेगा.
Okay, but if after 1 year, if you want to relocate, the lock-in clause says that you'll have to pay the rent for the next 4 years also, right?
No. The lock-in from our franchisee side is only 1 year.
No. If the business owner signs a clause with the landlord with a 5-year lock-in, if he leaves after 1 year, what is the consequence of that lock-in?
Because so the 5-year lock-in is for the property owner. Okay. He cannot throw us out. He cannot throw my franchisee out for 5 years.
And even you can't quit that property, right?
We can after 1 year. The lock-in from our side is 1 year. Okay. From the property owner side is 5 years.
Oh, acha. Now I got it, sir.
So this we negotiate on behalf of the franchisee. Property owner को समझाना पड़ता है why is it like this.
Okay, so to put it in simple words, if I buy a store, if I rent a store which has a rent of 1.5 lakh rupees, I will guarantee the store that I will stay for 1 year. But the store has to give me a guarantee that he will let me stay for 5 years.
Correct.
So if I want to exit this place, then I can exit this after 1 year.
Correct.
But if he wants to throw me out,
He can't.
he'll have to throw me out after 5 years only. And what is this 5 plus 5 that you mentioned?
So Bombay, the Leave and License Act is such that you can only do a 60-month agreement. More than that, it becomes a lease. And in a lease, the upfront amount which needs to get paid is much higher for the registration with the government authorities. So like McDonald's, where the investment, so our investment is lesser, right? In the interiors, we are putting 8 to 10 lakhs. A McDonald's typical investment is, I'm not too sure, but what I've heard is it is between 4 to 5 crores.
Wow.
So they go for a lock-in of 27 years.
27 years?
Yes. So they do a mandatory lease, which is 27 years.
Interesting.
Because their capex is that much higher.
Okay. Sir, when these franchise owners fail, have you received backlash on social media or something which then results into something terrible for you?
It does happen, no? It does happen.
It does happen? How do you deal with that? You just ignore it?
It's like you have an employee and he left on a bad note and he is going and bad mouthing you on the social media. What can you do?
Very interesting.
You may have a customer who bought your product and did not like it and is bad mouthing you. So same way, the franchisee for us is a customer. He's a B2B customer. The guy buying the burger is the B2C customer.
Sir, here, where did you come across Rajiv sir's course? Because now I'm trying to understand. You went from proof of concept to proof of scale.
Correct.
And then those 3 levels of formulation, concentration and momentum. You achieved all of that. Where did Rajiv sir come in? And the reason why I'm very curious to understand this is because I'm trying to understand when should I go to him for all these things. Because I call him up very often and I ask him, sir, see, this is what happened. What do you think I should do? And most of the cases, he's like, whatever you're doing is right. So just go along with it. Sometimes I feel I'm just wasting his time.
No, he's a good guy. He's a great guy.
So where does Rajiv's role come into play over here?
At all 3 stages. Okay. Right? So I went in the second stage, where we went in because I was struggling with team management. Okay. Right? We had middle management team and how to motivate them. I had to get stuff done from them, but probably they were not as highly paid as people who would take things on their own and deliver end-to-end result. Okay. So I first, of course, wanted to, for myself. So I think I'm a student of learning. So my business coach, Meenu Mariel, I bring her up a lot because she changed my life completely about 7 years ago. What I learned from her was that the top sports people, right? Tiger Woods when he was at the top of his game. Federer when he was at the top of his game. Djokovic, they all have coaches. Why would they need coaches? They're at the top of their game, right? But we as business owners, we feel हमको coaching की ज़रूरत नहीं है. We know everything because everyone around us is coming to us with all questions and we are providing them solutions. So we get under this, we get disillusioned that I am a know-it-all. While a business coach actually comes and prepares you for कि बस यहाँ से अगर आपको 10x growth करना है, तो first you as an entrepreneur will have to grow. Agar Jumboking has to go from 1700 stores to 2000 stores, first me as an entrepreneur will have to become capable of being able to lead an organization which has 2000 franchisees, right? So ये सब जो है is what is available, parts of it in Rajiv Talreja's school. So I think, coaching is important. It is a new culture which is coming into India.
Okay, for entrepreneurs.
For entrepreneurs, right? And it's like we take gym memberships, right? You may walk out with fitness, someone else may walk out with a 6-pack. Both of us took the same gym membership. It is who was more committed to their fitness goal.
So you're saying that an entrepreneur must not limit his learning to his own assumptions and his own experience, but he has to read books like Al Rise and also get coached enough by the right people so that the entrepreneur himself grows and eventually the organization grows. But so there is a thin line over here because, and I'll tell you what is this thin line. I don't believe in having a mentor, but I believe in advisors. There's a slight difference. They might be the same terminology for the dictionary, but there's a slight difference. A mentor is a person that you go to all the time. Like you don't do your work, you just go and expect that just like Google gives you answers, this person will give you answers, and you will get your wisdom from that person so that you don't try at all, you don't make any mistakes at all, and you just go ahead with your journey. The second type of people are advisors, wherein you have done something and there is a massive mess up and you're not able to think straight. And then when you call up somebody and you ask somebody for guidance, that wisdom comes in the right context to help you get over that problem. A very simple example of the same is the hiring and firing thing that I just told you, where if I have to evaluate whether I am thinking straight about removing a particular person from the company, it is a very difficult decision both for me as well as for the employee. During that time, if there is a person that I can talk to or call up and ask him if I'm doing the right thing or not, that to me is valuable guidance. So where do you draw that line?
I will explain this question to you as an answer this in my language very differently. Again, so in with my business coach, Minu Mariel, what we said is, we said, let's make this into a game.
Okay.
I'm playing a game called Jumboking,
Okay.
right? Where we decide a win. A win is that the day Jumboking opens 1,000 stores, we win.
Okay.
Right? So because we said, जैसे जब हम बच्चे थे, हम बिल्डिंग में नीचे सोसाइटी में खेलने जाते थे, क्रिकेट खेल रहे हैं, whatever. We are not saying, oh God, I have to go and play cricket, यार. Right? You are going and enjoy. You are playing cricket because you choose to play cricket. You could have chosen to play badminton, or you could have chosen कि बस नहीं मैं ये सब नहीं करूँगा, मैं chess खेलूँगा. Right? So you define what game you enjoy, and then you decide the rules. Okay, this is, and the rules are so that you decide, okay, we won or we lost, and then what we need to do better in case we lost. So people take themselves too seriously, and बहुत failure को बहुत personally ले लेते हैं. So she introduced this concept of game, right? And then so I said that okay, मैंने Jumboking का game define किया that हमको 1,000 stores पर जाना है. Now, so we have a core team, right? We said that okay, now let us make this into a game for them also. So the lady who heads marketing or training or with the 6 departments we have, I had a interesting conversation with them. I said, what is your game? They said, game क्या सर, जॉब कर रहे हैं, सैलरी मिलती है, लाइफ इंप्रूव करनी है, बच्चों को अच्छे से पढ़ाना है, बड़ा घर खरीदना है, बड़ी गाड़ी खरीदनी है. I said, नहीं, let's change that. What is your game? What Jumboking has a game, 1,000 store. What is your game individually as person X? So we spent half a day on defining the game for that person. And she said, I want to become the CMO. I want to be known as a marketing professional who is appreciated and recognized in the industry. I said, okay, great. Now, people are very shy because they have never made a plan for themselves. There's a company ka plan which they follow. Yeah. I said, okay, now this is your game. Does Jumboking ka game get you to fulfillment of your personal game? If the answer is yes, you should stay here. If the answer is no, you should do something else.
Which is basically defining a certain benchmark for yourself in the context of what you're doing, so that you are on the chase of improving yourself, hitting better benchmarks.
On that journey, chase kyun? On the journey, on that you are. It's like a game, right? When I'm going to play cricket, I'm not like I have to chase. Of course, I'm chasing runs, but मुझे मजा बहुत आ रहा है.
That's when
but I'm choosing again the next day to go and play that game. Yeah. Where again they'll set a target and I'm going to chase.
Correct.
Right? It is not like कि नहीं अभी आप आ गए हो अभी आपको भाई अगले दिन आपके चॉइस है ना मुझे फिर वो फील्ड में उतरना है कि नहीं. So this really worked very well for us because now everyone's game kind of we defined for themselves. We found alignment, and then someday we lose. A lot of the days we win. We celebrate the wins. When we lose, we learn okay, kya gadbad kiya, and that's how we go.
Perfect. Thank you so much, sir.
Yes.
Your inputs have given me 3 pages full of notes. Actually 4.
Wow.
So I've learned a lot of things. I'm going to document all of this because last week the community actually put out a demand that I put all of these notes in front of them.
Who said
publicly.
this?
This is my YouTube community.
Okay.
They said that
Acha.
we would love to have these notes because they're listening to the
Okay.
podcast. So you've given me and 3 million people 4 pages of very, very valuable notes. Thank you so much for your
God
time,
bless
sir.
you.
It really
You're
means a
doing
lot.
you're doing amazing work.
Thank you so much, sir.
Spread the good word.
Thank you, sir.